6 for Conejo Recreation and Park District. And I've asked Mark if he'd be so kind to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag.
Flag never made it out.
Yeah.
We have a flag, it's coming out.
Okay.
We messed everybody up by starting early.
Oh, there it is. Coming back.
Thanks, Mark. So it's gotta be on this side, yeah.
Okay, Mark, you're here. You can stand here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mark. Roll call, please.
Here. Here. Director Hupper. Yes. Director Lang.
Here.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
We have a quorum present. Item 3, items from the public. Do we have any speaker cards or anything from the public? Online or anything? Yes, only related to the special meeting topic. It doesn't appear that we do, so we're moving on to item 4, executive closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 and 54956.95. Workers' compensation claimant Gregory Schrader, claim number 4A2204 TDZ 3W-0001. And other items as noted in the staff report. And we will have Esquire Griffin from Lots and Holman present in this closed session.
Thank you, sir. So we are gonna mosey over to our break room and we will be back in hopefully 15 minutes.
I'm gonna call to order our regular board meeting of the Conejo Recreation and Park District for July 18th. And we were just returning from a closed session item, and there's no announcement associated with that closed session meeting. So now have the flag salute, Elaine.
All right, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Elaine. Roll call, please.
Director Bus.
Here.
Director Cussworth.
Here.
Director Huffer.
Yes.
Director Lang.
Here.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We're moving on to item 3, special presentations. And we're going to start with the therapeutic unit. And Devin.
It's like 2 months from now.
Hi, my name is Devin Herbert, Recreation Supervisor of the Therapeutic Recreation Unit. I am here to speak about the Grayson R. Wolpert Foundation that supports the Therapeutic Recreation Unit. And tonight, one of the aspects of the foundation is a college scholarship for individuals that volunteer within the unit. I'd love to invite Skylar Wolpert up here to give you a little brief information about the foundation and the scholarship.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, we just ran in. It's been a crazy Thursday as always. My name is Skylar Wolpert. I'm here with my parents, Jenny and Richard. So who is Grayson? Grayson was my older sister who tragically lost her life in 2009. And she absolutely loved everything about volunteering with Therapeutic Parks and Rec. And for those of you who don't know, which probably most of you, I'm on the board of directors for Many Mansions, and I have been for 8 years as of this month. And part of my involvement there is on the Vicky Scholarship Fund Committee. And through that experience, it dawned on me about 3 years ago that we should also have a scholarship as part of my sister's memorial fund. And so we had one applicant last year who received it, but we're very excited today to have 3 applicants, all 3 of which are going to get $1,000 scholarship for their service through Therapeutic Parks and Rec. And it's really an amazing way to honor my sister. We also help out with all types of things. We help fund events. We just had the Grayson R. Wolpert Memorial Dance, which was super fun, and just amazing to see my sister's legacy live on 15 years later. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And will you stay up here to present the checks to our awardees tonight? So first, I would like to invite Max Peters up here. So Max started volunteering with the Therapeutic Recreation Unit of Conejo Recreation and Park District in 2019. Outside of volunteering, he is part of 3 different string orchestras where he was principal violinist and received many awards in football and baseball, such as the Football Player of the Year in California. He is a treasurer of the Interact Club. On top of all of that, he is an AP scholar with a 4.2 GPA. Over the years, Max has impacted so many families. In his scholarship application, he speaks about how nervous he was the first time he came to a therapeutic recreation program to volunteer. And he was nervous that he was not going to be accepted. But he quickly learned that he did fit in and later was able to utilize sign language to connect with some of the patrons. And as time went on, he received a card from a family, which ended up meaning the world to him and showed him that no matter the extent of his actions, he always leaves a mark on those around him. Throughout his short yet experience-filled life, he says he can undoubtedly say that he will leave an impact on the world. He will never stop showing compassion and desiring greatness in every facet of life. He will give a voice to those who are less fortunate, and he will be the change in his society. So on behalf of CRPD and the Grace and Wilbert family, we are excited for Max to pursue a degree in architecture at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in the fall. He says that receiving this scholarship from a program that he cares so much about and is willing to support him in return would be a blessing that he will remember forever, showing him that good deeds and helping others come full circle. So thank you very much, Matt.
You want to invite him to say a few words?
Oh, would you like to say a few words?
So, wasn't really prepared for this, but yeah, it was like I put in my little bio. It's just nice to see things come full circle, that good deeds really do come back and support you in return. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our second awardee is Jessica Nyborg. If you can come up here. She has come to the Therapeutic Recreation Unit as an intern to complete her degree in psychology. She currently is a student at Brigham Young University, where she's a member of the women's swim team and soon to be applying to graduate school to pursue her degree and career in school psychology. Within the short amount of time that Jessica started her internship, which came to us mid-May, her first day actually was a swim tournament plus the Grace and Wolpert dinner and dance, which was super cool. She assisted with many programs since mid-May, such as Special Olympics swim tournaments, the Grace and R. Wolpert dinner and dance, swim team, art class, kitchen capers, adult social and friends, youth and tween summer camps, our train trip to Santa Barbara, and several other community outings. Jessica includes in her application that she is grateful for the learning experiences and joy of working with dedicated staff and participants. Observing the staff's passion and commitment behind the scenes has been inspiring and has sparked her interest in pursuing a career in this field. On behalf of CRPD and the Wolper family, it's an honor to present you the scholarship check to Jessica to support your endeavors as you continue your education.
I'm just really grateful for this opportunity I've had to be at CRPD this summer. Like I said, the staff has just been wonderful, and seeing the way these programs are put together is honestly inspiring. I didn't even know that something like this existed until this summer, and I have loved it so much. I've loved working with participants and learning so much about this population, and I'm really excited to hopefully pursue a career in it.
Great.
All right, so lastly, unfortunately, our third recipient, Matthew Viswani, is unable to be here this evening as he is away chaperoning and supervising a field trip. So he's volunteering. So when he is not volunteering with organizations such as CRPD Therapeutic Recreation Unit, he volunteers with other organizations such as Ruben Castro, MANA, Operation Gratitude, Senior Concerns, Art Trek, and many more local nonprofits. He is a residence life dorm ambassador, plays alto sax for school's jazz band, part of the Wharton Global High School investment team, and participates each summer with the Kazunu leadership program. Matthew states that while these volunteer positions were designed to assist and help for him to assist and help others, he's found that he gained more himself from the experiences that he had to offer. These opportunities have strengthened his self-confidence in meeting new people, building stronger friendships, and most importantly, given the opportunity to see people beyond the fleeting 7th second. Congratulations to Matthew. We are excited to see his bright future as he attends Santa Clara University. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, board members, any comments you'd like to make at this time? Yes, Mr. Huffer.
Well, first, I want to thank the Wolpert family for what you are doing in memory of your daughter and your sister. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful. And the young people that you're helping out, I know are grateful. It's a great way to recognize the special efforts that these young people are putting in. In terms of the awardees, congratulations. Thank you so much. Without the help of folks like you, young and old, our therapeutics unit wouldn't be able to offer a fraction of what we're able to offer to our special needs population. So thank you very much for what you have done and continued success in your future careers.
Thank you, Director Huffer. Director Tessworth.
I'd also like to thank the Wolfer family. I mean, this is a wonderful thing you're doing to help these young people. And going to college might be easy for some of you compared to how much time you're putting into school and volunteering now. I don't know how you have enough hours in the day, but it made me very hopeful for the future. You know, sometimes people think, oh, the new generation doesn't have a work ethic or they're not trying, but it's people like you that dispel any of those theories. So thank you for contributing to so much to our community and also to the therapeutic unit, and keep up your studies, and you seem to have a bright future ahead. Congratulations.
And thank you, Director Kessler. Director Buss.
Yes, thank you so much for honoring your daughter's memory and legacy this way. It's a beautiful way to do it. And to the honorees, you guys are very, very impressive. I wish I could see you in 20 years from now and see what you've become, because you guys have already accomplished so much. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Buss. Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the Wolperts. I was just, when I heard it's been 15 years, that is fantastic, because, you know, I mean, the loss of a child for parents and siblings is not something we encounter very often. And, you know, fortunately for me, I've not encountered that. And I know the impact of that is, you know, for some of you who want to create a legacy, a foundation, you know, sometimes that goes on for 1, 2, or 3 years, and then it just kind of, you know, fades away as the healing process comes in. But to keep this going for 15 years, and I presume it's probably going to go 16, 17 and beyond, that's phenomenal. And to keep her legacy intact with this type of an effort, the community is a beneficiary, and I trust that there's some rewards to the family as well in her memory. So thank you for that. And thank you for making CRPD a beneficiary of that as well. And to our awardees, the volunteers, you know, likewise, I can only imagine what I was thinking at your age of things to do in my spare time. Volunteering was not part of that equation. You know, there was too many other fun things to be doing. And yet it sounds like volunteering is a fun thing for you two, and I know for others. So we have a lot of wonderful volunteers in our community, but I'm so excited to see it at your age group, where, you know, you somehow squeeze it in with swimming, playing instruments, and everything else. Is phenomenal. So thank you for that. And again, best of luck on your future educational endeavors. And we expect annual reports. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Nichols. And I too would like to add my congratulations to the awardees. And again, the Wolpert family, big time thanks. That's really great. And you have definitely prolonged the memories and the good things that were done. And so thank you so much, and keep up the good work. Therapeutic unit, Devin. Okay, I think that's it for item 3, Grayson Wolpert Scholarship. We're moving on to item right on under special presentations.
Sarah Jones, are you guys is that what you're working with? Co-CEOs? Okay, she's the CEO.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting us this evening to let you know what we've been doing at not only Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center, but also Ride On. I believe this is our 22nd year in partnership with the Conejo Recreation Park District. Is that correct, Brian? No, I've got 24. So again, I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview about what we've been getting up to out of the Community Equestrian Center at Rancho Potrero. So first off is our lesson program. We offer a very robust lesson program at Rancho Potrero. We offer English and Western riding lessons for beginners to intermediate. It's a very affordable, accessible equestrian program, which is quite unusual for our area. Most equestrian programs are pretty pricey and pretty competitive. So we believe that we're offering what we, say we're going to do here, which is a community equestrian center lesson program. So we're pretty proud of that. We offer lessons Tuesday through Saturday right now. And this is our spring and summer Wrangler camp. So our Wrangler camp is in partnership with the in partnership with the Conejo Recreation and Park District. So we've had a spring camp this summer, this April with about 15 campers. And then we've got 5 weeks of summer camp coming up this summer. We're in our second week right now. And we had 5 weeks last summer of Wrangler camp, which involves kids coming out, learning to ride, learning to take care of their horses, going out on a trail ride, doing some fun crafts, and just learning all about ranch care and horse care, honestly. Really fun time. It's a really popular program. We are completely sold out within about 5 minutes of going on the registration program of Conejo Recreation and Park District, with a big wait list as well. So, our goal is to try and offer more. It's just, there's only so many weeks in the summer that we can do this. So it's a really, really successful program. We're having a lot of fun with it this year. Again, some more nice pictures, and pictures say 1,000 words. So I put this together so I didn't have to say too much, and we can use the pictures. And again, another program that we have in partnership with Conejo Recreation and Park District, we offer intro to horseback riding classes and intro to horsemanship classes throughout the year. So we've actually just put them on hold for the summer while we're doing our Wrangler camps. But our intro to horsemanship classes are unmounted classes, which are basically teaching you the basics of horse care, grooming, leading, taking care of your horse. And then we move on to intro to horseback riding classes, which are a progressive class. We have an intro 1 and an intro 2, where we're teaching kids to walk, trot, steer their horse, and then progressing to whatever, we can accomplish in those. I think it's a 4-week program that we teach those intro to horseback riding classes. And again, those sell out. They're great. We've got those coming back in the fall again. We also offer schooling shows and clinics at Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center. So in the past year, we've had a dressage schooling show, which is open to the public and also open to our boarders, also open to adaptive riders from Ride On. And we also offer clinics at Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center. We had a working equitation clinic this year. We invited Abigail in from El Campeon Farms, and she put together a really cool equitation clinic, which was very well attended and very well appreciated by our boarders. And again, that's a dressage schooling show, dressage test right there, and some ribbons that we give out to our riders that participate in our shows. Team building events. This one's a new one for us this year. We've just introduced team building, which is an unmounted program where we can invite corporations, businesses, office folk to come in and participate in a team building event. We've had a couple of groups out this year. One was the Yamaha guitar marketing team. The other was a group from the city of LA. So this is basically a team building event where these guys work together through an obstacle course, unmounted, trying to persuade that horse to go through an obstacle course without touching it. These guys got pretty creative, actually, because they figured out they could use food. The marketing team from Yamaha were really creative because they actually figured out the end result is to get that horse into that square right there. They figured out that they could actually pick the square up and put it around the horse. So that was pretty cool to watch. The City of LA team, not so much. They were not the creative team. So that's a new program for us, which is pretty cool. This is our trail ride program. Honestly, I don't know whether there's another spot in Southern California that's as beautiful as the Rancho Potrero open space, that we can use that gorgeous area to take out trail rides. So we do that Friday afternoons at 5 o'clock. We take out rides on Saturday at 9:30 and 11:30 and Sunday at 5. So it doesn't seem as if we do a huge amount on the trail ride side, but we do try and balance everything that we're offering. So we're offering Wrangler Camp this week. We're offering trail rides. We're offering lessons. So much going on. We have to try and balance everything that we're doing with the herd of horses that we have and of course the staff. But the trail ride program is very successful, always fully booked. And if you've never been and you want to come out for a trail ride, feel free. It's quite beautiful. We continue to offer programs through the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. So these girls come on out and they get their Girl Scout badge. We just had a group of 12 girls come out last weekend from the Ventura County, actually the head office of the Girl Scouts. So they come and learn horse care, grooming, all that good stuff, actually get on a horse, ride, learn to stop, steer, get their badge. So that's a continuing program that we offer through the Girl Scouts. This year we offered a new hay wagon wildflower ride. We've done a couple of actual hay wagon rides, but this was a new one for us. The flowers last year were off the charts in terms of the super bloom. So it was a stunning opportunity to be able to take folks out into the open space again, use the amphitheater. And we put together some cheat kind of sheets for them. So we went out and actually looked at the flowers that were actually blooming at that time, put together a sheet where folks could go and identify those with a little hike when they got to the amphitheater, same with the birds. Put together another cheat sheet that we handed out for folks so they could actually see what they were looking at. It was a bit chilly, I have to admit. There's some of the flowers that we could see. We actually took the horses out to the amphitheater as well, so folks could come visit with the horses. We had refreshments and mimosas available, which were a huge hit. Weather was a little foggy. Seems to be a theme for us. Okay, so moving on to actually the programs that we offer at Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center to the public. We also use that facility to provide events for ride-on. So in partnership with Ride-On and Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center, we're able to offer programs to folks with individuals with disabilities. The Cownut Horse Show was a new one for us this year. We unceremoniously got dumped out of the LAEC. We got kicked out 2 weeks before our show. Our Cownut Show takes place at the LAEC every year, has done for the past 27 years. We got kicked out by a bigger, more fancy show. So we had to pivot with 2 weeks notice. And we decided that we could pull this off at Rancho Potrero. So between the management, the judges that showed up and participated and said they'd come and help and participate in the new location, Brian and the Rancho Potrero grounds team just pulling together an amazing amount of work to put together temporary stalls so that we could invite programs that were already committed to the show to come and participate. So for us, being kicked out of the equestrian center was a big deal. They wanted to push us into the corner or get us to change our show completely. These kids have been working on this for the whole year, right? This is like their show. This is a huge, huge accomplishment for them. It's something they really look forward to. And there was no way that we were going to take that away from them. So within 2 weeks, we managed to completely shift the show from the Los Angeles Equestrian Center in Burbank and bring it to Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center. And it went brilliantly. It was so, so cool. So that was something that we were really proud of this year that we managed to pull off. And there we are. So the Sunday of the Cownut Show is actually an open dressage schooling show as well. So that's we welcome folks from the community and boarders to participate in that, along with our kids with disabilities. Our Trail Fest event is another thing that we're super proud of. So we actually had 2 Trail Fest events this year. We decided in the winter that the weather was getting a little bit tricky for us to stage this event, which was very amusing because it was beautiful in December and we staged another one in June and it rained. So after moving it to June, it was probably not the best idea weather-wise, but in terms of the event, both events, we saw approximately 90 riders come out and participate in a trail ride out in the open space, where you can see dozens and dozens of volunteers that support this amazing event and the Kiwanis that come out and cook lunch for us every year. So we've actually had 2 of these events this year, December and June, where we've seen probably up to almost 200 riders get out on the trail and enjoy an experience that without the safety net that Ride On provides and without the incredible location and the incredible facility that Rancho Potrero provides, these guys just would never have this opportunity to do this. So again, another huge accomplishment as far as we're concerned. We love this day, one of the best days of the year. This is another thing that we're really proud of. This is a group of girls that get together in LA once a year in the summer. It's a group of girls from the Turner Syndrome camp. We probably served about 39 girls last year. We've got 41 coming next Tuesday. So 41 girls will come out and visit with us for the day. They spend the day with us riding horses, doing crafts, taking a hay wagon ride out to the amphitheater, taking a hike, and just having a really fun time. Apparently, it's one of their best days of the week of their camp. So we're looking forward to seeing those girls again on Tuesday. And then we just, Rancho Potrero is just such a lovely community kind of equestrian area for everybody to enjoy. So this was just a random kid that just came to say hi one day when we were just talking about doing some store development and whatnot. And they hung out and chatted for forever, and some girls from camp. So it's just a lovely, lovely environment for anybody who wants to learn anything about equestrianism. And then on to Ride On. So Ride On's our partnership at Walnut Grove Equestrian Center, which is a couple of miles down the street from Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center. So we are continuing to provide adaptive riding and therapy services to approximately 90 individuals with adults every single week. Our adaptive riding program teaches, it's recreational. It teaches kids to learn to ride. So every time a kid with a disability gets on during our adaptive riding program, they're going to learn a riding skill. So the goal is to learn to ride. So here we can see one of our riders using the mounting ramp to give them a nice safe mount onto the horse. And this is our adaptive riding program. We serve probably about 80 riders a week at the moment. And then we also have our therapy services program, which is physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, utilizing the movement of the horse for whatever specific or improvements that therapist is working on. So here you can see that's Kathy Chavish. She's our physical therapist, and that's our patient. And she's actually having him up on his knees, working on some strength or some posture or some kind of core strength or some fine or gross motor skill, whatever she's working on there, using that horse's movement to help to improve that medical, whatever situation they're trying to help him with. And then we also enjoy a really strong community partnership situation with all sorts of other organizations. This was the Cal State Channel Islands group, Serve It Up, that came out a few months ago to help us clear up after the rain. We just got a really nice article actually in their magazine. So it was a big group of students from Cal State Channel Islands that just helped us with moldy hay and cleaning out gutters and trimming trees. So we do enjoy quite a few partnerships with other organizations in the community that come and help and partner with us. This is just a nice picture of one of the Halloween outfits. And then summer camp as well is going on at Ride On. So as well as Rancho Potrero CRPD Wrangler camps, we also have Ride On camps. So we're right in the midst of camps. I think we've got camps going. We have 4 locations. We've got camps going on everywhere right now. So super fun time. The kids have a great time enjoying the heat, enjoying the sprinklers, enjoying the horses. This year for the first time, actually we did this many, many years ago, but this year Costco reached out to us. They were having some issues finding equestrians for the Costco Trail Education Days. So we stepped up and agreed to participate with this Trail Education Day. We were there for a couple of days. If you don't know what this is, it's basically bringing out all the middle schoolers at Wildwood, and they introduce them to trail safety. So that we use a mountain bike, a horse, a hiker, a dog, off leash, and we put all of those, mesh those things together and create a skit. And then the kids have to come up with all the reasons why we're doing bad things. It's a really good time, really good fun. So we really enjoyed that. And we're going to be on the calendar to help with this again next year. We had a lovely fundraising event at El Campeon Farms. We do enjoy some very strong relationships with some very generous folks in the community that lend their land, their barns, their properties to Ride On to allow us to put on fundraising events and showcase our programs. This was a new event for us. It was a brunch and it was on a Sunday, and it was really, really fun and cool. And we are very appreciative of El Campeon Farms, who are just up the road in Hidden Valley, for their continued support and allowing us to, like I say, showcase our programs in such an incredibly beautiful environment. And we got some nice press this year. This is the Acorn article about the CalNet show and about Wilhelm, and just talking about his confidence and how he enjoyed his first show at the CalNet show at Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center. So that was some nice press. And then we're celebrating 30 years this year. So we will be having a celebration on September the 14th at our Chatsworth location. So it's our 30-year anniversary this year. And I think that's it. That wraps it up.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
You're
Very
welcome.
good presentation. I'd like to ask any board members at this time who'd like to make comments. Director Nichols.
Thank you, Sarah. I feel like I just went through a whirlwind here of
I was trying to keep it quick.
activities. I've been out there many times and I see these, what I say is a handful of horses. I know you've got a lot of boarders out there, but to see the way that you really work those horses or take advantage of them, whether it's just, what you call on the ground or riding is amazing. And I know it's been a nice blessing to have you as a partner and to see how you've integrated. And I know the programming is, we wish we could, do this 10 times over because there's such high demand. But I think that's a testament to you and your staff and the programs that you run. So appreciate that. While we participated in many, we did do the wildflower hayride, taking the wagon up into the mist. But the grandkids thoroughly enjoyed it. But what they remember most is being able to feed apples to the horses. It's a lasting memory. So thank you for the way that you incorporate all these various elements and make it memorable for all of us. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Director. Yes, Director Buss.
So I am a horse mom. My daughters both ride and they go to those expensive fancy shows. And so I have to say that I think it is absolutely amazing that you provide affordable equestrian lessons and all sorts of interactions. I was terrified of horses up until about 5 years ago when they started riding and thought that they should serve alcohol while you watch your 4-year-old on a horse. But now I've been around them and yes, some of my favorite times are giving my horse an apple and carrots and what have you. So I can see how your grandkids like that. But yeah, I have to say, I think it's really important. I know this area, I live in Lynn Ranch. We used to have a ton of horses in this area. And I think it's really special what you guys do there. And I really appreciate you. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Buss. Director Cusworth.
Well, I'm the same way. I'm really glad that we have this in our community. It extends our ranching history that we had here for so many years. And you're providing experiences to people of all abilities, which is wonderful. And just having horses here for people to see, I think is a wonderful experience to just have a ranch and to have, I didn't know all of the different things you've done. I mean, I've heard from you for many years and I've been to the facility, but I didn't know the extent of all of the programs that you're offering. So thank you so much for being here. I grew up riding horses, not very well. I had aunts and uncles that had horses. So it's really quite a skill to be able to manage an animal of that size. And so that's a wonderful thing to give confidence to young people that they can be able to do that. And as a teacher, I had one child in one of my classes who had cerebral palsy and could only walk with a walker. And she was taking horse therapy, and her mother said she became a new child when she got onto that horse and had that freedom to be able to move. So thank you very much for all that you do.
Thank you, Director Cusworth. Director Huffer.
Yeah, Sarah and Brian, thank you so much for what you've done for our community for 30 years. I know we hear from families, we hear from some of the participants, and they just absolutely adore what it is you folks have been doing for them all these years. It's always great to get a review. You guys come here about once a year and let us know all the various programs that you're involved in. It's almost a little exhausting at everything you guys are doing. I figure you must have a staff of 15 or 20 full-time staff doing all of these programs, right? So, like so many other things, it's the volunteers who make these programs available to our community. So, thank you for organizing all those volunteers and making sure that they're helping out. You mentioned the summer camp. Hopefully, among their various duties, you do have them mucking out the stalls. Oh, good. Okay. All right. And just as a personal comment, I really enjoy the Trail Fest every year. It's so much fun to watch the people going out on the trails, coming back with huge smiles on their faces and trying to survive the hamburgers and hot dogs. So anyway, thank you very much
very welcome.
for what you folks do for our community.
Thank you, Director Huffer. First of all, sir, I have a question. If I recall correctly, you mentioned trail rides, and maybe this was a combination of two, but you mentioned 200 participants in trail rides. Is that correct?
That was Trail Fest. So between the two in December and June, we put about 200 kids with disabilities on horseback.
Okay.
So our trail rides are about 70 a month at the moment.
Okay, so for the number 200, well, 100, if you do it two separate events.
Two separate events.
Yeah. So where do you get all the horses?
Oh, gosh. So we use all the horses that we have at Rancho Potrero, and we also bring in some horses for ride on for that event as well. So we'll trailer some horses in, but they go out in groups. So they go out in groups of 6 riders. So throughout the whole day. So it's staggered.
Okay. Well, again, echoing the other board members' comments and my feelings on this program, and as at least Brian knows, I was here when we first looked at this program as to whether CRPD should get involved with it. And one of the things I remember vividly is watching a video of President Reagan supporting this program and the benefits of physical therapy on horses, et cetera. So it's been phenomenal. It's been a big plus for CRPD and our community, the users, et cetera. So much appreciation for all your work, for all the volunteer work. And I must add, I've got a granddaughter who's just starting that mucking and all the stuff in the stalls and so forth. So it's a great program, and keep up the good work. We really appreciate it, and congratulations on 30 years.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Can I offer an advertisement?
Yes.
For those of you who are not aware, Ride On is a nonprofit organization, and they operate with grants and donations. So if any of you want to participate, please look them up. They could certainly benefit from it because our community benefits from them. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that's it for special presentations. We're moving on to item 4, items from the public. And I have, I believe, 5 cards, and I'll take them in the order that they were presented to me. Let me count them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak with a 1-minute warning prior to conclusion of your 3 minutes. And if you're representing a specific group organization, you have 5 minutes to speak, and you'll be given a heads up when you got 1 minute left. So, yes,
And Chair Lang. if
Yes.
Some of the folks might be wanting to speak specifically to the action item 9A instead of public comments, but the actual agenda item 9A. So I haven't seen, it looks. If you're here to speak on the Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center lighting project, that's gonna be the next item right after public comment. So it'd probably be better if we had you speak during that item. So, but some people might want to speak on just general public comments, so I don't,
they were all handed
there's
to
a
me.
9A. Yeah, folks, so it's hard to tell. Folks didn't write the agenda item, so.
Well, let me mention
yeah.
the names, and if you'd prefer to wait until we come to that item on the agenda, we'll take you at that time. So, Sharon Stemhauser. Okay, 9-8. Liz Serene. Okay. Say again. it's specific to the horse ranch. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. You can cover both at the same time. Skip Roberts? Okay. Stephanie King. Lighting. Kathy Ramos. Lighting. Barb Thomas. Lighting. Okay, well, that takes care of.
Well,
Yeah.
can I interrupt you? Can we just ask anybody online that wishes to make a comment to enter a message into the Q&A if you want to speak now or if you want to speak at the item?
How many do we have online?
Okay, so what was the conclusion out of
They're-
the 8?
They're waiting to,
Oh, okay.
only one that wants to speak on the item? So again, if you would like to speak during public comments, that's fine, that's where we're at. But if you would like to speak on the lighting item, let us know in the chat box. Is that? Okay, so then I guess we're gonna go to the Zoom comments.
General comments. Public comments.
I don't think we have any general comments on Zoom. We have 2 that want
Oh,
to speak on the item.
Altogether?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think we've got our understanding on the public comments, items from the public. So we're going to move on to item 5, approval of the agenda. I'd entertain a motion at this time.
I'll approve the agenda. I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
And a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, sharing none. That motion will pass. We're moving on to consent calendar, items 6A and B. A, approval of the minutes of the June 20th, 2024 regular board meeting. And 6B, approval of the warrants, accounts payable, check registered $1,620,032.70 and payroll of $1,181,181,500. I'd entertain a motion on the consent calendar unless you want to pull something.
I'll move approval of consent items 6A and B.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second for 6A and B consent calendar. Any other thoughts or questions come to mind? If not, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstention, sharing none, that motion passes. Item 7, deferred items, we have none this evening. Item 8, items for discussion. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and interject the opportunity for that individual to go ahead and speak at the topic other than the lighting. Is that what, correct? Okay, go for it. Okay, Brooke.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, we were told that the parks were spraying chemicals on plants in Satwewa, and I just wanted to see if there was any more information about this.
So you said Satwewa, like Rancho
Yes.
Satwewa?
Yes,
Like
like right behind the horse ranch.
Yeah, so Rancho Satwewa is an actual national park property. So national park, state parks. So probably not a Conejo Rec Park property.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're now ready to go with item 9A, adopt resolution number 071824-A to approve the addendum amending the mitigated negative declaration for the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center Capital Improvement Project and Rancho Potrero Specific Plan Number 19. Approve East Arena Lighting Modification Project at Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. Authorize staff to submit planning application to the City of Thousand Oaks and for the East Arena Lighting Modification Project at Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. Staff?
Thank you, Chair Lang, members of the board. IT will be pulling up the PowerPoint here in a second. The city, the district, as well as Casca has obviously over the years invested a lot of efforts and monies and community interest into providing open space, but especially space for equestrians, whether it's on the ranch properties as well as on the open space trails throughout the whole park system. And that commitment obviously is very visible with our partnership with Ride On at Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center, as well as other properties that the district owns and operates. So tonight we'll be kind of reviewing some history. So bear with me because I'll be getting through some kind of nuts and bolts of where we came from, and then we'll get to where we are today. But a little bit of a project history on the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. It was actually Two Winds Ranch. It operated since 1972, and it was on the north side of Lynn Road. And then in 90, as Dos Vientos was in planning stages and reviewed for opportunities to continue the equestrian property, in 93, MRCA worked with the city and Casca and the district to acquire the 326-acre Rancho Potrero property, which 20 acres of that property is today the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. And so due to the development of Dos Vientos, that Two Winds Ranch moved south of Lynn to the existing location of the Equestrian Center now. And again, this was because of the interest of the community, the interest of the municipalities that were trying to provide public access for equestrian use within the city as within the district as well. And so kind of that's the overall property history. And then getting into just from graphically in yellow and circled here was the kind of ballpark framework of what was being operated as the Two Winds Ranch. And then and that's pre-development 1994. And then as Dos Vientos was developed, as you can see, was developed with over 2,300 plus residents, a commercial center, 1 TK through 8 school, as well as 5 developed park sites. So Dos Vientos Community Park, Dos Vientos Neighborhood Park, Sycamore Neighborhood Park, and Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center, as well as a district-wide facility. And so with that, this is where Rancho Potrero became because of the development and kind of moving around properties and being able to provide that community benefit to the public. So operational history of the property. In 1995, the city leased the Equestrian Center, which was actually owned by Casca. And so they leased it. They put in $2.8 million of improvements on it. So including utilities, barns, arenas, a lot of infrastructure. And then prior to August of 2019, before Ride On came on the property, the city managed the property with a variety of different operators. And then from August of 2019 on, Ride On's been on the property, has been operating it with the city as well as with the district. So in March of 21, multi-agency agreement. Part of that was transferring the property to CRPD as it aligned with our mission, providing recreational facilities for the community to benefit. And then Ride On continues to remain on the property as the operator, but the property owned now with CRPD. So a little bit of environmental history. And I'm not gonna take you guys through every single word here, but basically in 1995, the equestrian use on the land was temporary. It was a temporary development. It was a sublease and it operated just totally interim use. It wasn't a permanent improvement on the property. And then the city and Costco decided in 2005 to develop an MND that could establish a permanent equestrian facility. And so when they took a look at that, that was taking a look at making it permanent, making it there for long-term longevity, because that was something the community was interested in. And that was always kind of the intent of, hey, being able to provide this for the community in long-term. And so with that, they went through the environmental process, and MND, mitigated negative declaration, was prepared. And then following the MND approval, there was a special use permit that is processed through the city planning. And so that is what became the development agreement. And with that development agreement, there's certain conditions. And so that's from an operational standpoint to what you can build on the property, to lights. You know, there was lighting requirements included in that agreement. And then to go further in time, the overall Rancho Potrero specific plan, so not just looking at the equestrian center, but looking at the whole property, the whole 326 acres of the property, was the specific plan number 19. So they took a look at it, and they put together the document, and which that predated the relocation of the equestrian facility. The equestrian facility had been operating prior for the 15 years prior. And then they went through their own M&D approval for that, which included the operations and the lights and the structures that are currently on the property of the M&D for the entire Rancho Potrero specific plan. So again, that included the open space. I top of my head, a few years back, we developed Area 1, so the amphitheater area, kind of the destination where the old Olympia farm site was. That was a part of the specific plan that said this should be a gathering area for educational and program uses. And so just like that area was included, the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center was included based on those impacts and kind of walking through that process of what that development ultimate build out would be as part of that MND. So
Excuse me just a second, Andrew. Everyone may not be aware of what MND stands for.
sure, mitigated negative declaration. So, and basically, per CEQA law, we have to typically it's an initial study. We review prior to development what impacts and what the development would create. And then the mitigated negative declaration is basically mitigating those. So whether it's construction, whether it's use, whether it's offsite traffic and such. So lighting project history. So we're getting a little bit closer in time here. So based on the agreement, the multi-agency agreement back in March of 2021, there was a program of improvements as part of those approvals through those agencies, and it's included in the packet. It's Exhibit C on page 67. And so that included all kinds of improvements to bring up deficiencies of the property, from the footing in the arenas to new structures, new fencing, other improvements, but it also included lighting. So it included new arena lighting, as well as renovating the existing lights that were already on property before CRPD came into ownership of the property and prior to Ride-On being the operator on the property. And then another layer of approvals was as part of our budget process, the CRPD budget process in June of 21. We do a 10-year capital improvement program, and the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center miscellaneous improvement project, which would include that program of improvements, which would include the lighting, was approved by the board. And so with that approval, staff started coordinating work with Musco. That's our lighting design consultant and installer and manufacturer. And in November of 21, staff held community meetings with two main topics: the new lighting in the West Arena, as well as the renovation of the existing lighting at the East Arena. And so we held those meetings. And so this is the West Arena. So the property is very linear along Lynn. That's the West Arena. And then the East Arena is on the right side of the page with the red circle. So just to kind of orientate what we were discussing. And again, the left West Arena doesn't have current lights. It would be proposed new lights at the time. And then the East Arena has two existing poles, two lights that we're looking to renovate and correct some deficiencies there. So due to the public interest and concern about the development of new lights at the West Arena, staff worked together with a group and we created a working group. And so the working group included 4 HOA members, 2 write-on representatives, Sarah and Brian, and 1 boarder, which is Barb Thomas, and 3 staff. At the time, I'll just say titles: general manager, administrator / director, and park planner, and then 2 ad hoc committee members, which is Director Nichols and Director Lang. And we met 4 times over a course of 2 years, from 22 to 24. We reviewed, we discussed, we explored different ideas. We looked at various arena locations of what should be lit. We looked at different lighting designs. We looked at different pole heights ranging from 18 feet, which is currently approved per the environmental and the special use permit on the property, all the way up to 50 feet. So depending on the arena, depending on the size, we looked at various different type of lighting treatments to be able to provide more usable space at the facility. And so we looked at a variety of different heights at different arenas, and we basically came to the conclusion of, hey, because of these meetings, we kind of took a look at, we have an existing deficiency. We need to fix that deficiency in the East Arena. And so what we are here tonight to do is to seek approval to fix the East Arena. And basically we're putting all the efforts on the West Arena to the side, put it on the shelf, and we're not looking to take a look at that at the current time, due to the pole height, due to the proximity to residences, due to the proximity to the road, that the working group, as well as, or some of the working group members, as well as the general public has commented and provided to staff. And so really the goal is fix what we have now with the East Arena. So just kind of giving you guys some orientation, the East Arena is there. We do have in that oval, we have a mix of vegetation. We have anywhere from 20 to 30 plus feet of deciduous as well as evergreen trees. We do have additional trees to the north heading to Lynn, as well as barn structures directly adjacent, and other vegetation on the west perimeter of the East Arena. We also have a greater distance. That was one of the things of working through the process with the public as well as the working group, is trying to be able to move the lighting as far away so it would limit the impacts. So that would be the closest residence to any of the lights being proposed tonight. And then also we do have a lot more structures on this side. Oh, jumped ahead. We do have Parkway on the south side of Lynn, as well as the median and the north side of Lynn, and some slight elevation change between us and the neighbors. As well as we do have structures that are just north and also to the east of the East Arena. So there is definitely a little bit more going on the east side of the property. So just to kind of orientate the board and the public here tonight. And so what is the design? So staff did hold 2 meetings again, just like we did back in November 21. We brought forth our plan. So we held 2 community meetings. We did a 2,000-foot mailer. We emailed the folks, as well as we updated our website with information, and Brian helped post and Sarah helped post on site to make sure people are aware of the interest of moving forward with an east lighting modification. And so we held those meetings in early June. Basically, there's 2 lights. So with the blue circles, those are the 2 existing light poles. There's one on the north side, one on the west side, and those range from 20 to 22 feet high with only 1 fixture. However, the fixture is an older design. It's not LED, and it doesn't have proper shrouding, doesn't have proper light output. It's not a good design. And so what we would be proposing would be a 6-pole design. So one of the poles, and that's circled in black, one of the poles would be in exactly the same location. of the north pole, but we would be adding a south pole as well as 2 poles on each side of the west and the east arena. These poles would be taller. There'd be 30-foot poles, and they would have 2 fixtures per pole. The LED design, very efficient, really tight cutoffs, and really the intent of using the height of the pole, because that's been a conversation working through the process, is it's angles and math, right? So as you have a higher pole, you can tilt your fixture down further to light what you're trying to light. And so we worked, like I mentioned, on a bunch of other arenas, including this one, different designs, different layouts with our lighting engineers. And this is the most efficient, most optimum to reduce the height as much as we could with having proper light cast. So it's usable for the public, it's usable for the riders, and creating that safety issue of a more even light spill across. Because currently right now we have shadowing, we have glare going off site to the neighbors down the road, as well as along Lynn Road. And so it's again, not a very efficient design. And so looking at this design, again, it's trying to be the most efficient with what we're putting in there. We did look at other designs where we did them shorter, but we had more glare, we had more light trespass, and we had a lot more poles. So as far as being efficient and optimizing to get the proper design, this is what working with Musco. And we do have our Musco rep as well as our Enviacom rep who will be sharing their thoughts on the design and kind of the steps forward with this project. And so with that, this is just 2 site photos. On left photo is the west light pole. Here, just to kind of help, because for context, I wanted to show enough of the arena, not just the pole. And then on the north side, this is the pole. So currently the height is about 20 to 22 feet. It would be growing to about 30 feet. The same thing for the north. It's about 20 to 22 feet, and it would be growing. Sarah and Brian's staff actually put kind of story poles, like PVC pipe, out there. They've been up for probably about 2 months now, roughly. And so and those are at 30-foot height. They aren't perfectly straight because PVC is not as rigid as metal. So they are drooping a little bit, especially with the heat. But it definitely gives you kind of that story pole look to see, okay, what exactly is this going to look? But understandable, it is going to be multiplied. We did it at 2 locations because that's what we had to work with. And it does walking around the property, walking across the street, walking into the park across the street. Very hard to see that pole. And so again, just trying to test things out, trying to put that in front of the public. We did it a few weeks before our June meetings. And from my understanding, not too many people noticed until we pointed it out and brought it to their attention that there would be 30-foot poles there. I understand that it's going to be a bigger pole, it's going to be a metal pole, and it's going to have a light fixture on it. But again, just to kind of from a comparison standpoint of what it will look like from a height standpoint. So again, just kind of those modifications, it's proper height pole, downward direction, LED fixtures with shielding. The technology keeps getting better and better. So even from when we originally looked at the design, they've actually modified their shroud design to make it even more efficient from prior fixtures that they were proposing in the past years. And then the proper photometrics for an even light spill. So again, it's safety for the user. So it's not spooking horses and creating shadows. There is no offsite light spill. So part of the report, the addendum on Exhibit D in Figure 2 and Attachment 1 shows some of the diagram that I showed you, but also more detailed. There's about 19 pages of photometric design. So in those 19 pages, it does what light spill is actually going on the surface or about 3 feet above the surface, and that's horizontal and vertical. And on the north, east, and west sides, it's 0 for both of those, as well as for glare, it's 0. And that's noted in the report on page 79 of the board packet. And so when you go to the south side, we do have very minimal glare, very minimal foot candles, but it's at 1 foot candle is like 1 candle light, right? Just to kind of give that perspective, it's 1 candle light. We have 0.01 foot candles that's spilling to the south along the south property line. And then also we do have 2 points along the, make sure I'm not misspeaking here. We do have 2 points, approximately 100 feet, that range from 6 to 35 candela. And so candela is the units measured for glare. And to kind of give some perspective, like a 25 watt compact fluorescent or like a light bulb that you would have on your front or back porch if it's not LED would be about 135 candela, right? So just to kind of give you perspective of how much light's actually happening. However, that's only measured at those points looking directly at the light source. And so wouldn't have an impact to neighbors, wouldn't have impact to travelers along the roadway, that type of thing. We do have one area that it is 129 candela. So, and this is this is in the report. Again, it's on page 79 for more detail, but it's very, very minimal. As I get through the environmental for this, there are no significant impacts based on all the monitoring. The data is very, very detailed. As I mentioned, we got down to a tenth. And so we're really, really detailed with this, but the main thing is there's no off-site light spill that has a major impact, and there's no glare to the homes or to Lynn Road. And then also just to reiterate, put it in the report, but really wanted to reiterate here in the presentation is the proposed modification does not apply 30-foot pole height to other arenas. It's the East Arena only. That's the only arena that we're looking at to proceed with this. If we had to go through the process to light another arena or change things, we would be going through this very similar process of, going through the city process, meeting with the neighbors and such. And as well as the hours of operation, we're not extending the hours of operation on the property. It's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we're also not pushing back or adding to any of the restrictions that are on lighting. So lights out, arena lights need to be off at 8 p.m. So again, we're just really trying to reiterate what we're doing is concentrated on the East Arena, and we're not looking at changing the SUP conditions. We're all other than adding the height to the pole so we can get proper lighting down on that East Arena. So, and then actually take one step back, just with Musco. So why Musco? That was a comment that kind of came up from some neighbors and some interested parties, and why Musco. So Musco is actually a board approved standard. We have Musco at every single of our sports fields throughout the district, and Musco's system is controlled remotely. And so this would be another area that we would add to that system that we can control remotely. So again, it's keeping up with technology, expanding what our existing system has. But there's a reason why Musco is the standard. There's a reason why staff has been utilizing it for many years. And then we standardize it. I think it's up. We'd be looking at like the next budget cycle would probably take that back to the board, as well as our shade structures and playgrounds as standards, to make sure that we can utilize those. So it's consistent maintenance, consistent contact, as well as Nick, the representative with Musco, will kind of get into their background a little bit more later, but really great company, international, great national. They do sports fields, all the way down to recreational equestrian lighting, right? So professional stadiums, really great engineering and design, but then it's also, they offer turnkey service, maintenance, repairs, and all that. So that's why we use Musco. So, and then moving on to the environmental for this project. So per ad hoc committee direction, we thought to be able to review the facts of, okay, Musco saying lighting's good, working with city planning saying this is suitable to be able to implement on the property. Hey, we should have an environmental review of this. And so we went ahead and got services from Enviacom. Enviacom did the environmental services. There was a mitigated initial study and mitigated negative declaration for most recently Page Lane Neighborhood Park. And so they're definitely a good local resource for staff to be able to process and take a look at projects such as this. So per CEQA, which is California Environmental Quality Act, it was reviewed that an addendum was suitable for this. So because of what was proposed as the initial environmental review, an addendum is basically saying, hey, we're taking a look at the change that's being proposed as this new project. And that change is adding taller lights on the arena. And so the 18-foot lights, which the current lights aren't compliant. I think I breezed over that, but 20 to 22-foot lights aren't compliant because the previous operator prior to Ride On installed those lights. And so we want to be able to fix that. And we're going through the process to make sure, well, our 30-foot light's okay. So as part of the addendum review, they looked at various CEQA items such as land use and planning. So is the current use an equestrian center? Yes, the current use is equestrian center. We're not looking to broaden the use of the facility other than it being an equestrian center, as well as aesthetics. So, hey, are the heights, is the colors, is what's being put on the poles, is that affecting it? As well as any biological or cultural resources being affected as part of the project. And so the review concluded that there's no impacts previously found to be insignificant are now significant. So we didn't create any more environmental impact or issue compared to what was previously reviewed as part of the capital improvements of the original Rancho Cordero Community Equestrian Center. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick with Musco, and then Joanna with Viacom will follow. But they just want to kind of share their professional perspective and statement on the project.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for having me out here. My name is Nicholas Cobb. I'm the local representative with Musco, covering the area. Yes, sir. Oh, apologies. So I'll start all over again. My name is Nicholas. Thank you for having me, Andrew. And I'm the representative for Musco. I'm based out of Los Angeles, and I've been with the company for about 2 years. This project Musco has been involved with for 3 years. And once again, real quick about Musco. We're a family-owned business based out of Muscatine, Iowa. About 40 plus years of experience in the manufacture, design, research, and development of lighting systems, mainly for sports fields. About the specifically with sport field lighting with LED, we have about 10 years of experience in research and development. And we do a lot of these projects on a project by project, need by need, solution by solution basis. And this one is a unique one for us as well. We've done about 15 different design iterations with the feedback of Andrew and Johanna and the community. So there's a lot of consideration that we've done with this particular project so that we do our best to provide as much lighting, usable lighting as possible within the arena for the safety of the riders and the users, as well as to minimize the environmental impact on the surrounding areas and the surrounding communities. And doing this, achieving that sort of a balance right there in the most economic fashion possible. With addition to that, we're happy to, answer any sort of questions that you may have or anybody in the community may have with any feedback after this meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Good evening. My name is Johanna Falzerano. I'm a senior project manager with Envicom Corporation. Envicom is a California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and land planning consulting firm that's been providing those kind of services for over 50 years. I personally have been providing or preparing CEQA analyses for over 20 years for residential, commercial, energy, restoration, and sports and recreation projects. As Andrew and Nick alluded to, the purpose of the East Arena Lighting Modification Project is to implement a new lighting plan to improve night riding safety and visibility for equestrian users, while also reducing the light spillover that results currently at the East Arena. Our charge as a CEQA consultant is to provide an independent evaluation of project impacts. Our assessment here focused, as Andrew said, on evaluating aesthetic, land use and planning, cultural resource, and biological resource impacts. We did this as a comparison point to the 2005 and 2010 mitigated negative declarations that were previously prepared for the equestrian center projects. In doing so, we determined that the project would not result in new impacts, nor would it substantially increase the severity of previously identified impacts, and no new mitigation measures are required. Therefore, it's our finding at Envicom that the previous environmental documents, the 05 and 2010 M&Ds, amended by the 2024 CEQA addendum that you have in the staff report, fulfill the environmental review requirements for the project, and no further CEQA analysis is required. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. Okay, Andrew,
Thank you,
any more
consultant team.
staff report?
Yep, continuing. So included in your report is on page 92, Exhibit E. And so this document we update as we develop or others develop within the area. This document has noted 15 other lit facilities throughout our area. And it ranges from high schools to other properties that we have, as well as like the CLU's development. And so at the bottom of this document is the proposed Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center lighting project at the East Arena. And then we also have a metric for like the average distance of all the different developments. So if you look to the column second from the right, is actually the distance closest pole to residential property line. And so they average throughout, not including this, but those 15 other sites that we've documented over time, is average distance is about 235 feet. The current proposed design at the East Arena is 394 feet. And so again, that's to residential property line, which would be to the north per the map that I showed you earlier in the presentation. And then also to structure, we documented that as well. And so the average is 298, and that's the column all the way to the right. So the bottom right corner number. And so 298 feet is the average of those 15 different lighting developments. And the proposed design is 424. So as you can see, we're definitely above average. This isn't something that's unique or different to how we've and others, including the CVUSD as well as CLU, has developed lighting projects throughout the community. And then also wanted to kind of point you to some illumination comparison. Some of the comments going through this process the past few years has really said that, you know, this is sports lighting, this is high intensity lighting. This is, you know, very, very bright and intrusive, and we don't want it to be like a community park, right? We don't want this to be like a sports park. We don't want that. And so I pulled the design actually that Musco did. It is a different fixture because those are non-LED, and the East Arena is LED. But Dos Vientos Community Park, and it's included in that list that I provided you with in the exhibit. But there's 16 poles there. They range from 70 feet to 90 feet. So significantly taller than the 30 feet that we're proposing at Rancho Potrero. But then the amount of intensity of light. So what are they actually putting down at the property? So depending on the activity and depending on the level of activity. So if you're playing Little League baseball versus you're pitching at Dodger Stadium, lights are going to be different. And that's yes, for the speed of the play, the level of the athlete that's on or user, but it's also, you know, TV, right? They need to be able to see what they're filming. But to comparison to a recreational levels community park, a baseball infield 63 average foot candles. A baseball outfield is 41 average foot candles, and then the outfields that's multi-use with soccer and the baseball outfield are 37 average foot candles. So, and that's just down the road at Dos Vientos. And so the proposed East Arena is an average of 15 foot candles. So the pole, as well as the intensity that's being put down through the fixtures, significantly less, sometimes 3 times as less or half as less, depending on the pole or the foot candles that you're looking at. So, and that's something that's great working with Musco, because the design that we proposed here with 30-foot poles, we actually turned it down. If you look at all the documentation that we provided it's at 50% capacity because we didn't want to light it too much because of the activity. It's recreational equestrian use. 15 average foot candles would serve that use and still provide a safe area for equestrians to recreate in. But then also we have ultimate control working with Musco. You know, that was a comment that came up is how much control do you have? Are these dimmable? Are they not dimmable? Can you turn lights off? Can you turn them on or leave certain poles on, turn certain poles off, that type of thing. And full control. We can go 0 to 100, on, off, whatever pole, fixture, all that fun stuff. So because of the technology is we have a lot more control than what we had at some of our older facilities where you have to kind of let the lights heat up and other things where it's just different technology. It's just a more current and with the shielding, with the lamp fixtures, with the photometrics, all that, it just continues to get better and better through the process there. And then another comment that came up was there is a dark sky certification that you can do for lighting. And this is something that we addressed throughout the process. And Musco, we talked with Musco about it, and Musco does say that their fixtures and their design can meet those requirements. Staff currently isn't proposing to go through that certification process because we feel we're meeting the current public standard, working through with city planning. We're working through the environmental impacts, and it would just be an additional cost put on the project. So that's something that staff isn't looking to propose at this time. But it's similar to LEED accreditation for like buildings and building landscapes and things like that. Yeah, it's good that you're doing something, but we feel that we're already doing what we need to be doing, providing that for the public and following the rules, if you will. We know we're meeting the planning requirements. We know we're meeting the environmental requirements, and then ultimately we're meeting the users' requirements to be able to have a safe place to be able to ride their horse. So with that, just kind of next steps. Tonight, if this is approved by the board, city planning application submittal will be forthcoming. They will be going through their review process. A part of that process they would be doing their own mailing. They would also be doing signage, I believe, on the property, would be their process. And then we would still have CRPD staff would still have to come back to the board to be able to do a construction contract approval. So we would be, working with vendors, working with Musco to put together a number and be bringing that back to the board for final approval because of the cost of the project. And currently the cost is estimated anywhere from 200 to 300,000 is the range. But once we kind of get everything squared away through this process, as well as the city process, we'll have obviously a contract to put forth in front of the board for approval if the board does approve it. And then from a project's timeline standpoint, the goal is always yesterday, right? Hey, when can we get this done? But the plan processing will continue into 24, hopefully not too late into this year. And then construction could start late 24 or early 25, depending on going through the city review process and the proposal bidding process and getting a time to bring it back to the board. So with that, I'm available for questions. Sarah is available for questions because Brian walked out of the room, and Nick and Joanna are available for questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Good report. Appreciate all the efforts you personally and other staff members have put into this project and contributing. At this time, I'm going to ask board members if there's any particular comments that you'd like to make at this time after the staff report.
Yeah. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So it says that the lights can be, they're going to be turned on remotely, but the staff on site will also be able to turn them on if they wanted to, correct? Or will they not be able to turn them on at all after 8 p.m. no matter what?
Yeah, so we control it remotely. So we do through Musco's system. We can always have like a kill switch, if you will, but all of the parks are on a remote schedule. So they have like a command center in Iowa, and they have people 24/7 turning lights on and turning lights off, and yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And I'm not kidding. They do have like a lighting command center because they do all their operations all throughout the world and the United States through there.
Yeah, I was more thinking of like in potential like brush fire risk
Yep.
and say the horses need to be out in the middle of the night. Are they able to turn on the lights or is it like, no, you can't turn the lights?
Part of it, we have 24-hour
So you just call in?
access. We call them and turn it on, or there's certain systems in place with the design where we can flip them on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then my other question is, you know, dropping my girls off at the barn and they ride at night and all of that. I mean, the months that we're talking about that these lights would even be on till 8 o'clock, because obviously right now you don't need them on. We're talking about 4 months of the year. And then they're off at 8 o'clock at night when most people's lights are on in their home. So really for them to have it affecting them, their lights are on inside their house anyways. So it's not when most people would be going to bed. Maybe small children, but that's it, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
we're
it'd
talking about
be,
maybe
I'm just
November.
double checking my notes, but yeah, it's the spring and summer months, May through August, they won't be used. And then late fall, winter, so approximately November to February for about 3 hours, 5 to 8 p.m. is when they would be utilized.
Okay. Yeah, and thank you for providing this because I think that it was great to be able to see the height of the different poles. Especially, you know, comparing it to similar neighborhoods that back it, like you have Conejo Oaks, one of the most expensive neighborhoods in this area that backs the soccer fields. Then you have also, so these are great to just be able to see how tall, which those ones are twice the height and 33 of them, which I didn't realize. I remember when we used to have to warm them up when I was a kid and played there and wait for them to turn on and then they would turn off on you sometimes. Yeah, I got left at those soccer fields quite often, so it's a little traumatizing that those lights would just turn off. So thank you for providing this. It was everything I needed to be informed. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad Marissa got a couple of my questions out of the way. If you know offhand, what is the foot candle at the surface for the Walnut Grove facility?
That's the average. So Brian's saying average is 12 at Walnut Grove.
And we're looking at 15 for this facility? So
Correct.
very similar then. Okay, thank you. And then I know this was discussed at some point, but I don't remember if you covered it specifically. Since the National Park Service is our next door neighbor here sharing a property line, any potential impacts to their property with this?
No, you know, per the lighting study and information that we provided them. So we've had conversations with them about it. They've been a part of the process from November 21. And then when we updated the plans this last go round, we provided that and they were not making a comment on the work that we were doing. So they weren't bringing up any issues for us. That was their official stance on it.
Okay,
So.
all right, thank you. And then just a point of clarification, and I'll defer to my other ad hoc committee member here if you feel differently, but I noticed in the report on page 56, I guess it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph. It mentions that CRPD, let's see, the lighting improvements are not being pursued at this time due to neighbors' concerns. I would say it's in part due to neighbors' concerns because there were other concerns as well. Some of the conversations we had with Ride-On as well as with CRPD staff. So it was both sides of some concern. So it wasn't solely for that, it was a part of that. And then also in the very last paragraph on page 58, many of the things that were considered refers to use of the facility. I would also note that it's the current and future use of the facility, not just its existing use. So I think we just need to make that clear. Otherwise, I had no other questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Nichols. Any other comments or questions? Director Helfer.
I'm going to hold off making any comments until we've heard from the public, so.
Okay. All right. At this time, we're going to ask for public comments. Again, I'll take them in the order that I have them in the stack, although they might have got
Sorry.
switched while we were checking out. So again, individuals have 3 minutes. You'll receive a 1-minute warning. And if you're representing an organization, you have 5 minutes and you'll get a little warning when you have 1 minute remaining. So first speaker, Sharon Steinhauser.
First, I'd like to quickly read a letter from somebody else who wasn't able to come tonight. So I'll be a proxy for her, and this is with regards to the 9A. And she said, "Dear Judge, I would like to express my support for agenda item 9A, the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center Capital Improvement Project and Rancho Potrero Specific Plan Number 19 Lighting Project. As a safety concern for horses and riders, the lighting project at RPCEC would greatly help the safety in our equestrian community, as well as provide a safer area for workers, staff, and visitors. Thank you for allowing me to express my support for the project, and I appreciate the concerns of the care and safety for humans and horses. Warm regards, Brenda Fox." And she is a boarder at the facility, and she lives in Newberry Park. I also live in Newberry Park, and I have horses at the facility. And I just want to, thank you so much for this facility, because it is wonderful. And it's an incredible place to enjoy the horses and just the outdoors. So it's great. And Andrew, thank you so much for the explanation and so forth. And one thing I want to emphasize is this lighting project, one, is replacing one that is older and insufficient, and also is for the community. The housing project, or Dos Vientos, is glaring. And but we need something there for the safety of the horses and for the riders. And this is actually going to be much better for both the riders and the horses and for the community. So it's very much a win-win. And I think that's, I mean, you can't get better than that as far as I'm concerned. And, for somebody who, I ride in the evening, a lot of people work, so that's the only time they can ride. And, in wintertime, it becomes, it's before 4 o'clock or before 5 o'clock, it gets dark and it's dark. So, it's very dark out there. So this is wonderful to have, and I really appreciate it. And thank you again. I will finish up. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Liz Serene, you're our next speaker.
Probably should have went earlier in regards to it, but
Go ahead, we'll listen.
okay. I think it's really wonderful that there's a lot of programs that the Horse Ranch offers for the, community and the public. The issue I have is that I've been in this area, or lived in the area, Dos Santos, for 24 years. And I know we just went through a drought, but we have a tremendous amount of dust that when they do special functions, that you can just go down Lynn and you see the dust just come right over the road. And so I don't know if there is a requirement that the Parks and Recs put on the horse ranch to keep the dust down. And, I don't know what pesticides, or if they use glyphosate to keep the weeds down, that could be coming down in the dust too. But I would really like to see if they could keep the dust down, because sometimes, and I know they're having a great time and I think it's wonderful. But when that dust bowl comes across, it's really heavy. It's really heavy. So I would like to see something addressed in that part. And regarding the lights, I went to the last 2 meetings and I asked you if Andrew, is it possible for Musco to rent some lights? Do they have some portable lights like they do in concerts that we can bring out, that maybe we don't need to go 30, maybe we can do 25 and do 4, and have them out for, because I want the horse riders to be safe. And I want, you know, the homeowners to say, it's not glaring like a nuclear plant. But I was just wondering if they have any kind of rentals that they can put out like in a concert and put 4 of them out. And then the horse riders can see, hey, this works pretty good for us. Or, you know, maybe we need to go a little higher or it's just good as it is. I don't know if that's been looked at. I don't know if Musco has the wherewithal to go ahead to do the rentals and put them out for the public, and then everybody could be happy. I think that would be a really nice thing. For me, 20 feet, I don't know, 30 feet, is it going to be that much of a difference? I'm pretty close to the horse ranch. And so that would be my concern in regards to the lights. But, you know, I do want the horse facility to have what they need for safety. But then again, I was thinking, you know, maybe if we put some portable ones out there that we could see, hey, this is pretty good with just 4. And maybe, you know, the riders will say that's plenty enough too. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Our next speaker is Skip Roberts. I do not see Skip at this time, so I'll move his card to the back. Stephanie King.
Hi there, I'm a boarder at the ranch and I've been there for 6 years and it's really gotten much better since the new people since Brian and Sarah took over. He's done so many wonderful improvements and I think the lights are just another example of a great improvement for the ranch. And I'm here, I was involved in a horse accident 30 years ago where I was boarding at a ranch in Redlands and I was riding my horse at a canter in the middle of the arena and they only allowed you to use 2 lights in the arena and my horse stumbled, fell, and I landed on my shoulder. I dislocated it and then broke it. And it took like 3 settings before I got it fixed. But I mean, that's why the lights are near and dear to me. I have had an actual experience with bad lighting and a bad fall. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. And I want to also mention that the fact that Brian has a lot of different people that give lessons there is just, it's so much nicer than the previous people who ran the place. I mean, it isn't just beginners and medium riders. They have trainers and teachers that handle more advanced riding, which is really nice. And the previous people never did that. And the footing is better and that we have a dressage arena and it's really improved a lot. And it's wonderful for the community, not just for the beginning riders, but for more advanced riders as well. And so I think that covers what I wanted to say. I thought that Andrew did a great job looking at all the ins and outs and all the possibilities. I think it should be something ready to go. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your comments, Stephanie. Kathy Ramos. She had to leave, okay. We're moving on to Barb Thomas. I'll check if she didn't show up.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Barb Thomas. I was actually part of the working group that helped put together this lighting project. So first of all, I want to thank CRPD for all of the work that they've done to maintain Rancho Potrero, make it a community equestrian center that was probably the envy of many cities in this area. There's no place like it. There's no place where you can get on your horse and go out and ride over 300 miles of public trails right out our back door. And there's no place where we have really nice arenas where we can work our horses. And I want to thank Andrew for his very thorough presentation tonight on the lighting project. It actually answered a lot of questions that I had in my mind as I was sitting there, and especially the part about how intense the lights were. And when you look at it and you see that the lights that we're planning on putting in here are less than half the foot candles of a soccer field. That's pretty impressive. And it's enough to light for the safety of the equestrians. And it's enough to take that dang glare off Lynn Road. And I think all of you know what that is. It's been pretty bad over the years. So I'll be happy to see that gone. And I'll be happy to see new lights in the arena and something that can satisfy us and something that can help out with Dos Vientos so that we can continue our good neighbor relationship with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. And one more time, I'm gonna call Skip Roberts. No Skip Roberts, so nothing there.
We'll skip.
We'll skip. Okay, that concludes the oh, we have someone line. How many total do we have? Okay.
Hello, CRPD. My name is Emily Acosta, and I am a boarder at Rancho Potrero, and I feeling a little under the weather right now, so I'm going to keep this really brief. But I just wanted to express my gratitude, really, truly, for all the improvements that you have put in towards Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. My horse loves it there. So I just really wanted to say thank you for all the improvements. And I actually really quickly wanted to touch on one concern that somebody had mentioned. It was a resident, and they were very concerned about like the wildlife and how the lights would affect them, particularly birds and migrating birds. So I just wanted to mention that I did a little bit of research on that, how large cities mitigate that. And San Diego, which is located right by it's a major migratory bird flyway. And so a lot of migratory birds do fly at night, but San Diego Audubon Society actually recommends that people turn off their lights from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So just wanted to address that concern since the lights would be off at 8 p.m. It seems like it would be fine for the migratory birds. So just wanted to throw that out there. And then again, say thank you for all of your improvements and everything that you are doing for the Equestrian Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Our next speaker. Okay, we've got video.
Hi
How about
there.
audio?
Hi, my name is Susan Noritaki, and I am a resident and homeowner in Dos Vientos. I also am a boarder at Rancho Potrero, and I also want to echo the appreciation for Brian and Gail and Sarah and team, and really even the city and everyone involved. It's a wonderful place. I'm also a big supporter of this project. I've been, oh gosh, I date myself, but I've had horses more than 40 years, and safety is so important. I also have a teenage daughter that rides, and just want safety for my family, my barn mates, and those to come in the future. So that's all I have to say. I guess one more thing is just so appreciative of the report and the analysis, and very confident that the design is perfect for the area. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, so we have a couple, yeah, so we could mention, we have a couple letters in the supplemental that came in after the publication. So we had a letter from Miss Deb Carter, and indicating support. And then we have a letter from the working group folks from the Dos Pinos Ranch HOA, Mark Jones, Ed Cruz, Gary Pantzer, Mark Lund collectively. And they raised a few issues or concerns, but indicated they were not opposed and would not be here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Friedel. Appreciate your putting those comments in the record. All right. I think staff, do you have anything else that comes to mind that you want to highlight?
Yeah, just one comment about the temporary lights. I did do some research with Musco about the lights, and I did give you an email back about the information that was provided to me. And they do a lot of like large scale, like currently like the X Games in Ventura, big event, big concert venues and stuff. They do temporary lights for that type of setting, but they do not have temporary lights for a very controlled setting, low level, like the equestrian center would be. And so that's a service that's not available through them from a temporary basis. So the temporary large scale lights, way more intense. Yeah, it would be probably 10 times or more the foot candle, and because it's for high intensity sport, quick, professional, but also like I mentioned for TV viewing and stuff, the lighting intensity gets turned up so you can see the activity being done. So yeah, but that is all I would like to add.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll start with Mr. Huffer.
Yeah, I am well aware that whenever we get into discussions of lighting, it gets very emotional and very intense. Long before I was on the CRPD board, I've been involved with AYSO soccer, mostly at Conejo Creek South, but also at Dos Vientos. And I know how important it is to people who live nearby that their environment not be significantly impacted. I want to thank Andrew for the sometimes excruciating detail that you provided with us. But in fact, I wish we'd had that much detail, was it 15 or 20 years ago when we were looking at the lighting at Conejo Creek South? Because we originally had proposed 90-foot poles there and ended up with 60-foot poles. But thank you for all the detailed information. Thank you to our consultants for all the information that you provided. And thanks to our subcommittee for all the time and effort that you've put into this project. Based on everything that you presented to us, based on the positive feedback that we're hearing from our speakers this evening, I think this is definitely a project worth going forward on. Just a comment for the young lady who made the comments about temporary lights. I don't know if you looked at the packet, but toward the end of the information on this proposal, Andrew provided a long list of facilities that are already lighted, and many of them have the same 30-foot poles that are being proposed for Rancho Potrero. You might want to go out to one or two of those facilities at night. As a longtime soccer referee and participating in soccer on the fields where they have 60-foot, 90-foot, what's the tallest one at Dos Vientos?
90 at Dos Vientos, but we have our tallest pole, I believe, is 110 at Thousand Oaks Community Park.
Yeah, and these lights are not as advanced technology as we're talking about here at Rancho Potrero, but I know for a fact that if I'm running along the soccer field and I step outside the lighted area, it all of a sudden gets very dangerous because you really can't see once you leave that designated lighted area. So you might want to take a look at a couple of the existing facilities just to get a feel for what the lighting is like with those similar type facilities. The comments that were made, I think it's really important that we're providing a safe environment for the equestrians and for the horses. Again, going back to my experience with the soccer fields, before the Musco lighting was put in, we had some, I don't know, 20 or 30-foot wooden light poles that had temporary lights on them, and running around those soccer fields with those lights was taking your life in your hands. So to have the professional lighting like this, I think is going to make a great positive impact for all the users of the facility. So again, thanks to everybody who was involved with this, and I am definitely in support of what's been proposed here.
Thank you, Director Hopper. Director Cussworth.
I think change is always hard. Nobody likes change. So it's nice when you're doing something that is positive all the way around, positive for the homeowners, positive for the equestrians. I can understand the need. My brother had horses or a horse. And so every day in the winter, they would have to go in the dark so his daughter could exercise the horse. There would have been no way they could have done that in the dark. And when you're using a large animal like that, it's a huge safety issue to not have proper lighting. And I don't know that you could have been any more thorough, Andrew, in your presentation. And I wanted to thank you for bringing in our consultants. I thought that was very nice to hear from the people who actually did the lighting project and did the environmental impact. And I wanted to thank you. I like history. I really enjoyed reading the whole history of the area. And I know this took a lot of time for you to put it together. And I appreciate all the comments from the public that you are happy to have this project. I appreciate that you are happy with the facility. Since it's made the change, it's made me very glad to hear about what a great job Brian and Sarah are doing. Sometimes we only hear the complaints, which we don't get many. But it's very nice when you hear people that are giving good comments. It's nice for us to hear. So thank you very much. And I'm sure this will be an excellent facility. When I was looking at this, I remember one time when they were first proposing this, they asked people to come over to the Walnut Grove facility so they could see the lights. Are the lights there in any way comparable to what we're putting in?
Comparable but different. New technology. It is those are it's 4 25-foot poles there, but it's also been in there 10 plus years, 12 years, something like that. So the technology has changed quite a bit. So it's gotten better. And so that if that's the baseline, then that's why staff feels the proposal as proposed tonight is going to be even
better,
even more efficient. Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for all of the time and effort that went into this presentation.
Thank you, Director Cussworth. Director Hopper.
One other comment I wanted to make, that all of because Andrew gave us a little bit of the history of all the various hearings and so on that we've had with staff, with the subcommittee, with our consultants. Hopefully something like this demonstrates how much the Park District listens to you folks out in the community. I know there were some other plans that had been initially proposed, and the staff and the committee people listen to what the community is saying. And it's not just for this project, but pretty much all of the major projects that we get involved in. We try very, very hard to listen to the community, to not just listen, but take your input into account. And so thanks to all of you, not just those of you who came out this evening, anybody who's watching online, but everybody who's expressed interest in this project and other projects from the Park District. We appreciate your input, and we hope you continue that way.
Thank you, Director Hopper. Appreciate that. Director Buss, you have any more? No. Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to issue a few things as well, but first I wanted to say I thought I knew all I needed to know about exterior illumination until I got on this ad hoc committee. And I realized that just going down to the hardware store for Christmas lights once a year was not enough of an education for me. So I needed a little bit more than that. So I wanted to thank the Musco team. We've, like I said, as was mentioned, we've been working with them for 3 years with an ad hoc committee. I know Andrew and the staff have worked with Musco for years. And I know there's a long-term plan to virtually change much of the lighting throughout the entire district to these high-tech lights, which are phenomenal from what I've seen in demonstrations and also, you know, some of the different facilities. But again, the high-tech engineering that we see these days, you know, when it talked about remote control and lighting and shrouds and distance and foot candles, I needed a whole terminology dictionary with me so I could keep up with this stuff. But again, thank you for the education and being informed. I think it's comfortable for all of us up here in decision-making positions just to be informed. And Johanna, your team as well, because I know we had some environmental input, you know, I wouldn't say early on, but as the process went through to try and address some of those questions, which is very helpful as we try to, you know, piece this together in many of our decisions, which have environmental impacts. So appreciate that as well. And then to the Ride-On team for even bringing ideas up. I know we had a charge there of how to make this facility suitable for the community and even go beyond that. And I know you and your team are striving to get there. And, you know, some of these projects are taking a little longer than others, but I know in the end it'll be successful. It will continue to get some kudos for that. Also, the working group, in particular, the Dos Vientos HOA representatives, had multiple meetings with them, and they came up with some great ideas and some great suggestions, that we are trying to address, and then the concerns. I mean, they're our next door neighbors. They will always be our next door neighbors, so we certainly want to keep them foremost in our mind as we move in these projects. I know we have a lot of facilities, as was mentioned, around town. And those are permanent neighbors. They're not just here once and then gone. They're always our neighbors. So we try to keep those in the foremost. So I want to thank that working group team for showing up in the middle of the day for multiple times for multiple hours and giving up their time. So thank you to them. And then also for our CRPD staff. We didn't have to do this outreach to do this working group, but it just kind of was a natural growth of what we were doing. As we saw what some of the concerns were, we thought, we need to get everybody together and actually hear this out so we can make sure we've addressed everything. And it's a testament, as Director Huffer said, of the outreach that CRPD does for our permanent neighbors. It's something that we want to make sure we address time and time again. So thank you for that extra outreach effort. And I think it's been proven worthwhile. Sometimes projects move forward, sometimes they don't, but it's always worthwhile to go through that process. Then I know with my fellow partner here, Director Lang, on the ad hoc committee, we started this venture when we were talking with city officials and COSC officials about even considering acquiring this facility, because there was a little baggage that went along with it. We weren't quite sure where this was going to take us. But we knew that this type of a facility was within the mission of recreation and parks and what the district should be doing. If any agency in town was to do it, it should be the Rec and Park District. And so we've ventured out there and we're still growing, we're still learning. We've got a great partner. We've got a lot of support. We appreciate the input from the boarders and all those. But again, just going through this whole process over the last 4 or 5 years now, it's been since we started those conversations, to see how something evolves. And it wasn't just, one staff member's idea or, one equestrian professional's idea, but it was really the entire community and a focused community when it comes to things like this. So I really appreciated that engagement. Yes, it's been a long time, but I think it's been worthwhile in what we've learned in the process. We'll continue to move that direction. And I appreciate all of you coming tonight just to support to view your support or your opposition, whatever it happens to be, just to be being part of the process. It's encouraging because I know a lot of times we're here just trying to guess what other people are thinking or what the community thinks, but I appreciate the input for that. So thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts and for the team that put this together.
Well, thank you, Director Nichols. I've got a lot of things on my mind. There is a history in here, and if you picked up on it, the very first owner of this property who purchased it from the George Huck estate, who was the original owner, and then he passed and so forth. And there was a couple developers that showed interest in all of the property. And with the foresight of many individuals associated with the MRCA, the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, we realize that this property offers too much for our community to let it be developed. I mean, we have other places it could be developed, but this is a jewel of a property, environment, et cetera. And to allow it to be developed was definitely not in the cards or in the opinion of the MRCA or the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. So it took some litigation. I made a number of trips down to Los Angeles. I think it was Superior Courts. I can't recall right now, but this was solved through litigation, and that's how the MRCA ended up with the property. We were the first owners, as I mentioned. So it's gone through a number of iterations with the owners, brought in the city. They had some mitigation issues they had to deal with and so forth. And then MRCA was no longer a vital part because it was now under the auspices of the city pretty much in Casca. But things like this, and there's one or two speakers, I can't recall, that mentioned, how important this piece of property, this property is being utilized for equestrian usage, for our equestrian community. And I know outside our community also has opportunities to use this facility. And there aren't many equestrian users, or Brian and so forth. Sarah might know, but I don't know how many communities in this general area offer what we do through the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. I don't imagine there's too many that offer what we offer. So to have this opportunity to do something even better with it is really gratifying. And the users in the future, your daughters, Marissa, and other, maybe my granddaughter, who knows? But anyway, it makes us as board members feel good about our responsibility to keep something like this in the top working order for usage, and now able to ride at night. That's really great. I did have a question for Jonathan, was it? No, for Nicholas. Yeah, Nick, that's what it was. You have the computer generated illumination data here. That's all. Do you ever, after an installation, go back to see how accurate these computer generated illumination are?
Yes, every time.
Great. Should I ask him to go to the microphone? Just to get the information. We're recording the meeting. Yeah, I apologize. I should have given you a heads up on that first of all.
It is perfectly fine. So to answer your question, yes, after each of our projects, if it's necessary and it calls for it, we do a light level reading to compare what our model photometry is compared to what we can measure in real life. I have a calibrated sensor light meter that I utilize, and I do those kind of work pretty regularly for my projects. So
Great.
thank you.
And also that temporary lighting idea was a good idea. It doesn't sound like it's practical, But with the experience that Musco, is that the correct pronunciation? Musco, Musco, like us, Musco. I'm, again, I think that was a good idea, but it sounds like with the technology that's been developed over the years and double checking after the installations and if there's any major differences in what the computer generated information was and what it actually is, they catch it and hopefully if there is any corrections to be done in the program, it's all taken care of. But, the main thing is that I like your idea, but it doesn't sound like it's practical or something that's being done. So maybe you can go around when they go around and double check the the readings. Yeah. Yep. Oop, this is one candle too high or something. But anyway, I've talked enough and there were a couple other things, but the main thing is, and it's already been mentioned by a number of other board members, the appreciation of each of you coming out and contributing your input. Again, that's how we learn. We don't know everything about these lighting projects, et cetera, but we're fast learners, I'll tell you that. And I was gonna make a comment on Director Huffer's comments about the AYSO soccer field lighting. I was around for all that too. But yeah, we're really sensitive to our neighbors, and they aren't just neighbors when we're working on these projects. They're our permanent neighbors, and we're in this together to make this community as good as it can be. So, okay, George, be quiet. Okay, any other comments? Okay, I'm ready to take on a motion. And we've got, go ahead.
Director Cusworth has her hand up.
Oh, Director Cusworth.
Yes, I'll very happily make a recommendation on this. Do I need to make it in two parts? Because we have a
Yeah, would you please?
resolution and then we have two other things.
Would you please?
Okay, so first, I would like to recommend that we adopt Resolution 071824-A to approve the addendum amending the mitigated negative declarations for the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center Capital Improvement Project and Rancho Potrero Specific Plan Number 19, that it be read in title only and all future readings be waived.
Okay, let's cut it there so we can prove that, get a reading. Yes, Director.
I'll
Huffer.
second that motion.
We've got a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions come to mind? Aline, would you read that in title only, please?
Resolution 071824-A, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Conejo Recreation and Park District adopting CEQA findings, adopting the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian East Arena Lighting Modification Project addendum to mitigated negative declaration.
Thank you so very much. Any other thoughts or questions come to mind by the board members? If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, sharing none, that motion will pass. All right, Director Cusworth, would you like to
And
continue?
now, part two, will make recommendation, number 2, to approve the East Area Lighting Modification Project at the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center, and number 3, to authorize the staff to submit a planning application to the City of Thousand Oaks for the East Arena Lighting Modification Project at the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center.
Thank you, Director Cusworth. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Director Buss. We have a motion and a second. Any other thoughts or questions come to mind? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, sharing none, that motion will pass. Okay, General Manager, anything else on this?
No.
Again, thank you all. We appreciate it. Right on. We appreciate what you contribute to our community. Great programs and we love you.
And Director Lang, if I could just, you all are welcome to stay for the balance of the meeting, but don't feel compelled. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah. Anything more? Okay.
Mr. Chair, can we take a 5-minute break?
Say again.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
We sure can. We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break.
I got to pee.
You leave.
No, my kid just got over her.
All other board members are present. Let's continue the meeting on.
Good luck.
Pardon?
Oh, I was whispering good luck, sorry.
Oh, good luck. Item B, introduction of first reading of the CRP ordinance number 2024-1-AN, an ordinance establishing rules and regulations for CRPD parks. Yes.
I got you, Chair Lang, members of the board. I'm taking it. I'm taking this one.
Oh.
So this, as you might recall, you guys have seen this now a couple times already at the board meetings. And I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before, we did have our attorney here, Jocelyn Corbett, to walk through the ordinance updates with you. Subsequent to that meeting and your valued and your good input on some of the changes, we did make some tweaks, sent out a red line strikeout, asked for feedback on those, and I don't think we had any feedback specifically on any of that. So what we feel like we're putting in front of you is something you're comfortable with, you've seen. The only difference that you will notice between the last version of this you saw and this version, the only difference is the numbering of the sections, which we did simply to try to best able match the existing Costco ordinances in their section 2 with the ordinances in our section 2, which are the rules and regs. So Costco already has their existing ordinance. It has very similar, if not identical, language in a lot of those. And so we just wanted to make the numbering align, which meant we had to move a few of the sections around. But other than that change, no substantive or even non-substantive changes were done with the text. With that, I'm available for any questions. And we do have Jocelyn with us once again. But this would be, I should say, this is the formal first reading and introduction of the ordinance 2421, which would be our brand new ordinance section. So this is now, we're in the formal process, and the second reading would be at our next meeting on September 5th, assuming this goes well.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. And thank you, Rochelle, for all the efforts that you and your staff put into this and others too. Yes, Director Nichols.
Couple of comments. On page 117, this is section 226, paragraph B. This is more of a logistics question. It says, upon notice of park closure due to fire hazard warning by the fire district, all reservations shall be canceled. I was questioning, is this all district-wide reservations, regardless of where the fire hazard is located? And does this also include indoor facility reservations?
So again, there is some degree of common sense applied to the implementation of ordinances by the rangers in the field. So I think if we're looking at, a fire hazard warning, I don't know that is as opposed to like a red flag day, I don't think it's a term of art per se. But if we did have some sort of a fire hazard warning that the fire district was giving us, then we would cancel areas, and my thinking would be outside. I don't think it is intended to apply inside. So it would have to be contextual, right? Like if it were in the open space, say right next to one of our staffed facilities, we'd probably evacuate the building, but the building's on the other side of town, we certainly wouldn't. So I think there's a context that would have to be applied to kind of the location they're focused on.
Okay. And then the second sentence there seems to be disassociated from the first, where it just talks about, individual responsibility for, igniting a fire to completely extinguish it, as opposed to a fire hazard warning by the fire district. It seems like two separate topics to me.
Yeah, it's a good rule, but yeah, you're right. I don't know that it necessarily follows the first sentence.
Because you're talking about people being fired, so maybe it just got missed. So put that last sentence in B or the last sentence in A. Or put it on the last sentence in C. You know what I'm saying? On A and C, we're both talking about people lighting fires. And not missing.
Actually, it's duplicated in C now that you point that out. Yeah, it's the same sentence in both B and C.
Oh, okay, so you could just take that off.
Yeah.
B because and
I
thank
think-
you for noticing. that.
Yeah, I think we should just strike it out of B and leave it in C where it's at.
Yeah, that's, yep, you're right. Good catch. So striking the second sentence in B,
Correct, yeah.
It's already in C.
okay.
And then my other question, and again, this will go probably to our attorney for clarification. Page 127, Article 4, Section 401. It's actually kind of A in Section 402. It refers to pursuant to Penal Code, Section 836.5, a public officer or employee shall be authorized, yada, yada, yada. Would it be appropriate to interject the term designated, in other words, a designated public officer, so it's more consistent with Section 402A and B, where it's hereby designated those officers and employees? Otherwise, when I first read that, it's just like any employee could be authorized, but here we have designated employees. So just kind of a contextual question.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that makes some sense, and that's an easy insertion that Jim can take care of.
Okay, and I noticed that, I've seen this a lot in codes where it'll say per section 402, so you can just put in parentheses in there somewhere so they know where to look for as to what a designated employee is.
Yeah.
That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the insertion of the word designated is right before the word public officer.
Correct.
Yep, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, board members, any other comments or questions? Director Huffer?
Just one quick one, and maybe it's not all that important, but most of the places through here, it says, except with general manager permission. And there's this section 243 on memorialization,
What page are you on now?
page 121. Paragraph A, no person shall install, yada, yada, yada. I mean, we've already installed several memorials in open space and or in the park. I know it's been done by staff, but technically staff would be considered a person, and maybe just so you don't have someone complain, say, well, you put up this memorial for Tex Ward, why can't we put up a memorial for someone else? So if you just added except with general manager permission.
I'm sorry, if I can just chime in here very quickly. In the definitions in Article 1, it expressly exempts out the district and staff from any of the provisions of this code. They are exempted out of comporting with these requirements. And we did have, at the last meeting when I was here and we were kind of having our study session through this, there was some conversation about whether the general manager should have discretion to waive this prohibition. And after the discussion, the determination was, no, we don't want anybody to think that it's okay for them to do it. We want to encourage them to speak with staff and find out where the appropriate and authorized places are for them to memorialize somebody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Dr.
It's just
Cuthbert?
it's not really a question. I just wanted to have a comment that from reading the first manual that we started with to this, significant improvement, especially with all of the policing, that was very vague before. a lot of the things that were in there were inappropriate for, how we run the park now. So I know this was a big job, but I think it was a job well done and something that needed to be done and something that I hadn't really had thought of. So who brought up the idea that we need to update the ordinance manual? Was it just its time had come, or did somebody notice it was?
I think you guys yourself should take a bow for that because it's part of the strategic plan. So you guys created the strategic plan. So it's been the goal of the board to kind of stay fresh and current. This is just one of those things that really needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, I was
but-
going to say, I probably didn't know that it needed it until I sat down and read the whole thing. And then I read this. And then I thought, oh, we really needed this.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think the board had gotten into this many details. Usually it was specific changes, applications, et cetera. So I don't think we've ever had a consultant, have we, Jim, on the ordinance?
No, and I've been here 20 years and we've never had a comprehensive look like we had Jocelyn do with us and staff. So,
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, over the years, you just keep adding little things here and there. We got enough going on. And I'm glad we took time out and took the time to correct it, improve it, and make it more readable and applicable.
so I had one other comment because we're doing a lot because we just did the strategic plan last year, correct? And then with the 5-year strategic plan, and then we're doing this and we're working on the master plan. You have somebody in the works that's looking at our master plan. Where are we with the master plan?
We're looking to bring a draft to the board this fall. So we were
Okay.
hoping to bring it to this meeting, but it just timing didn't work out. So.
Okay, so we're doing a lot of housekeeping here. So it's great.
When you run out of money, you start doing paperwork. We're not building stuff. We're getting our house in order.
Okay, well, I'm ready to ask for a motion.
I
Oh,
believe
this
this
is
is
the
the
first reading.
Yeah.
So there's nothing more beyond what we all first read, right?
Yeah, so we're just looking for the recommendation to introduce the ordinance establishing the rules. So you're introducing.
Okay, so there is a
Yeah.
motion associated with it. So, Director.
It wouldn't hurt. It'd make me feel better if we just said, follow the words under the recommendation, introduce the ordinance, and that way we'll publish and get the second reading all set for the 5th.
Okay, so which director is willing to make that recommendation motion? Director Cuthbert.
I recommend that we introduce ordinance 2024-1 establishing rules and regulations for CRPD parks and set a public hearing for the September 5th, 2024 meeting of the CRPD Board of Directors to consider adoption.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Director Nichols. Any other thoughts, comments, questions come to mind? If not, all in favor of that recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, hearing none, that will pass. And now we're moving on to item C, establishment of policies and procedures for facility reservations.
Thank you, Chair Lang,
All
members
right,
of the board.
Carol.
In your packets, you obviously have the policies and procedures for the facility reservations. Staff is asking for approval tonight of this policies and procedures. It was brought to you the last time we met. I want to say it was June 6th. There were a few teeny little tweaks that we tweaked, and basically this is taking information that was in the old ordinance manual in section Article 5 and a little bit from 4. It's putting it in here, and we also beefed it up with some additional information in regards to reservations. And so that is before you. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Rochelle. Any questions come to mind for the board associated with the policies and procedures for facility reservations? Everybody happy with it?
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready to take a motion.
Dr. Lang,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the policies and procedures for facilities reservations.
okay, we had a motion. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Director Nichols. Any other thoughts, comments, questions come to mind? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, hearing none, that motion will pass. We're moving on to item D, coordinate electric vehicle charging opportunities with the City of Thousand Oaks Public Works Department at various park locations. Mr. General Manager, I'm assuming you've got this one?
I do not. It's actually Andrew.
Oh, hey, Andrew Mooney.
Thank you, Chair Lang, members of the board. City of Thousand Oaks Public Works Sustainability Division has reached out to the district. They're looking at opportunities throughout the whole city to be able to possibly implement EV charging. They are looking at grant opportunities. So they're looking at like stakeholder partners to be able to one, be more viable for grants, but then also two, just to kind of get their framework, their setup of possibilities. And so basically this item is just to authorize staff to continue conversations with them. We have discussed our concerns with city staff, making sure that we're not overtaking parking, we're not disrupting park operations, we're not taking away any opportunities for us within our facilities. But since the district is pretty strategically laid out, it makes sense for the city to partner with us for the opportunities for EV as the technology changes in the coming years. But upon any coordination with the city, staff would come back with any agreements, any detailed designs, all that type of stuff to be able to put in front of the board. And obviously we'd be working with Rochelle's folks and working with Jim to make sure that this suits the district for the long term. But currently right now, there's about 6+ sites they're looking at. They are looking at like district-wide facilities just because of accessibility to those facilities. So, you know, the Conejo Creek complex, as well as 2 community parks, or sorry, 2 play fields and 1 community park. So again, nothing's been finalized. It's just kind of initial conversations with city staff. And so we felt that this was best to bring in front of the board. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Mooney and staff associated? Director Cussworth.
This isn't really a question, but I support this. I know my daughter and her husband bought an electric car and decided to take like a 3-week road trip and see how they did with just charging it. And so they said it was sometimes kind of hard for them to find the charging stations because a lot of them are just for Teslas. So, so if they go on long road trips now, they don't do it because, you know, it can be tedious for them to be trying to find these charging stations. So another thing is I went to when I was reading this and you were talking, I went to a chamber meeting about tourism in Conejo Valley. And I thought, well, if people come here and they are charging their cars, they're going to want to utilize our parks or utilize, you know, if the charging stations are somewhere near someplace that they can enjoy our valley, that's offering a nice service. So that while they're waiting their 45 minutes, they can use the park or they can play some games or they can do something. So it brings more people to stop into our valley, maybe get lunch. Anyway, I think it's a great idea.
Director Nichols.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was reading through this and I know we've had a great relationship with the city for many years, whether it be parks, facilities, or otherwise. And you know, always want to be able to reach out and work with the park, with the city on park projects or whatever projects that would benefit both agencies, but also the community as a whole. But as I started thinking about this, it just kind of started generating some questions. For example, I know you said they're targeting maybe 6 sites, Mr. Mooney, I appreciate that. But I was wondering, well, should we have some type of an analysis? I don't necessarily mean like a whole traffic study, but for example, what are the use patterns at these facilities for parking cars, and you know, who is it that's actually parking cars, and are these short-term parking, long-term parking, and would this type of installation start affecting that in some negative way? Where, you know, because a lot of our park patrons, you know, they're in and out, maybe they're dropping kids off, you know, they need a quick spot to park they're usually not there for hours on end, except for maybe softball games, which seem to last forever at Orchard Park. But, you know, most of the time, you know, it's a quick in and a quick out. So I would be curious to know what are the patterns that, especially these facilities that they're looking at? And, you know, is there going to be some potential impact? Because obviously that'll take up spaces, and anytime you have an EV spot, it seems to be bigger than a standard spot. So now if you're going to park 6 EV cars, it probably takes up the stalls for 8 or 10 non-EV stalls. So anyhow, just question about that, about the availability of stalls, and then also the use study. And then also, how would that impact those facility uses, you know, with certain locations, because I know it's going to be reliant upon infrastructure and access. So now they're going to want to find convenient locations for that. And I know you're talking about, you know, working with them on those locations, but I just started thinking about that as well. And then the last thing, aside from Director Cussworth's family, you know, what type of transit vehicle charging would take place that are now going to take spots that otherwise would be used by park users? So there's some of those concerns, and no sooner had I read this article, read this item, I read like 2 articles online. One was EV sales have declined this year. And number 2, there's a retail coffee shop that everybody would know by name, and an auto manufacturer that they would also know by name are partnering to build an EV network for charging station. I thought, okay, now that makes sense, where you're working with retail businesses and auto manufacturers to, you know, make this a capital type of a project. So again, without that background information, I'm a little hesitant to support it. And I know you've indicated that this is, you know, will be a case by case, but I think I would just express some concern that without some of that advanced information, I'm a little hesitant to move that direction, because it's not really what our business is, and a little bit concerned for lack of information more than anything else. So that's my concern at this point.
Sure, and to follow that, Director Nichols, is we've had the same concerns and conversations with city staff. There's other park facilities locally, like Westlake Community Park, where they have EV only parking. And that's been a conversation with the city staff, is that I don't want to limit parking, because we already know there are certain sites that do have parking limits. And so we have that problem. So try to make as much flexibility as possible at the site to not take away. There will be possible opportunities to actually expand parking. And so that would be an opportunity where, hey, we're still providing more parking at a property. And, you know, the city project, obviously it's our land, but we're working with them. And then again, it develops, continues to develop a relationship with the city to be able to provide for the community with the changing technology with vehicles, but then also from a user standpoint, every day, if they're there hanging out, playing their sport or hanging out at the park, then they can charge it. And so staff sees the same issues that you brought, and we definitely want to resolve those before we would bring in any formal agreement back to the board once we kind of hash out the details. So
okay, and just as a follow-up to that, who pays for the electricity that these people are using to charge their vehicles?
yeah, so this would not be a cost to the district at all. Yeah, so this would be whatever agreements the city would work out with Edison. I don't know if there's certain rebate agreements and everything, but this would be a city-funded project, and that we would work with them. Possibly if we were doing improvements that were on our to-do list, like we've done with other projects, where maybe if they were already doing paving or something else, we would have them do some work on the property. But this is a city initiated project. This isn't the district looking at expanding an EV network throughout the district's parking system.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, Director Cussworth.
One thing is, I think this is just authorizing the staff to basically look into this. So I don't think that we are authorizing them to put them in. I think that we would come back and he would be giving us a report of where he found it. Also, this could be a benefit to some of our residents. You're saying if you're at a softball game, if you're at a soccer game, you might be there for a couple of hours. I don't know how these all work, but with my daughter, they paid for it. you pay for it with your credit card. So when they have their car at home, they can just plug it in. But when they're on the road, they have to pay for the electricity. It's less than they would be paying in gas, but it's not. And so I don't know who gets that money. If it's the city is going to get the money because they are supplying the electricity, or if Edison is getting the money, I don't know what that is. But these aren't costing us. We're not giving people a free charge. They pay for it. So I think that with this is that the city has approached us, tell me if I'm right, saying, hey, is this a possibility? They're going to look into it. They're going to see if it's a possibility. If it doesn't work, they won't bring it back to us. If it seems to make sense, they'll bring it back to us with answering all of the questions you had. So it's good that you brought up those questions, but I think Andrew was anticipating some of those also. Are you telling me to stop? Are you hitting your gavel saying stop? Is this cuss word?
No, I was, no, you continue.
Okay. No, I think that I am done.
Okay. Yeah, I think there will be further questions as we move down the road here, acting with the city and responding to their requirements and so forth. And I think we will have ample time when we deal with these specifics, when Andrew and staff believe it's time for us to take a look at it and so forth, so.
And with that said, I'd appreciate the reminder, Director Cusworth, that this is just a review process. But if you could express at least my concerns, so that I could feel comfortable when these are coming forward, that those have been addressed. It would give me a better platform upon which to make a decision as we go through this case by case.
Oh, one other comment, but I was just interested because you said that EV cars were going down. My son also has an electric car, but it's also has gas in it. And so those have been somewhat hard to get because a lot of people want those where they can plug it in when they're doing around town. But then when they go on the road and they don't want to have to stop at a station, they can fill it with gas. So it might be interesting to look in and see, well, are those type of cars raising, are they becoming, because as the cost comes down, more people want to do that because they save so much money.
Okay, yes, Director Huffer.
I'd like to move that we authorize staff to coordinate EV charging opportunities with the City Public Works Department at various park locations.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Director Cusworth. We have a motion and a second. Any other thoughts, questions come to mind? If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions hearing none. That motion will pass. We're moving on to item 9E, which is direct staff to advise. Okay, direct staff to advise the city of Thousand Oaks that the district will not be submitting a notification of interest regarding the available surplus property. Is that Mr.?
Mr. Mooney will start and I'll add any commentary, I guess, if necessary.
Thank you, Chair Lang, members of the board. So as required by government code, the city is looking to sell or lease surplus property. So the district received notification of those properties. As part of the report, there's an attached notice letter as well as a map exhibit. If you look on page 162 of the report, there's 5 parcels. It's the west property adjacent to City Hall. As you all are aware, and reminding you, the city does have a campus master plan. The city visited the district in April to provide their plan for that. And so with that, the district, even though we are deficient in parkland in that area, we are not looking to move forward with interest of purchasing or leasing those properties. Really, we just want to continue to kind of review additional opportunities in that area. But since the city has a plan, we want to respect the plan that they're looking to implement as their campus master plan. And if Mr. Friedel wants to add anything, feel free.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it. I just might add to that, as part of, deference to our land use authority partner government, they do have a plan they've been working on and have been, vetting throughout the public and have, approved this preliminary stage of the plan. It does include some space in front and as part of it that would be, very park-like and very civic gathering. So I don't think they're turning their back on the need for gathering space, not at all. In fact, they have, very park-like amenities out front, kind of building off the lakes and continuing around. It's just, it's not a lot of acreage and it's a whole lot of money, and the city wants it for not a park. So I don't really see us wanting to insert ourselves in it. That would be my 2 cents although, like Andrew said, we do have a need for parkland in that area, and we'll continue to look to try to find the right solution, but that's staff's recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. General Manager, and Mr. Mooney. Director Nichols.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I support staff's recommendation. I would suggest in the written response, I presume there's going to be a written response to this written request, that you include the 2 items, well, one that you stated verbally, which I also noticed that in the plans that we're viewing, I see that there is some green space, some open space, a game lawn, a play area. So you say, well, they've already incorporated some recreation facilities. There's no need to have a park right next to what they're proposing. So I think just they've already included that. So just to note that the plans seem to include those components, and we would support that. And then also, as was noted in the last sentence in your report there, that the district will continue to review opportunities, in the vicinity. That's because of the deficiency. So just kind of reiterate what they know and we've told them, but make it in a formal response, I think would be appropriate.
It's a little more emphasis. Okay, thank you. Any other comment, Director Kessler?
I've mentioned before, I think it would be interesting if we just looked at park areas that aren't owned by the district. Not that we want to say we're not deficient and to continue looking for park space, but we do have things like at the lakes, they're planning to put in a park. We have Gardens of the World. There's quite a few areas that we don't own, but are open park-like areas. It would just be interesting if we took those into account to see where, how much of a deficiency we have. And we don't have control over those, but we also have that new apartment building that is, building a public park, the pocket park there, just for my own knowledge, because I think we do have quite a bit of amenities for the public on the boulevard. They're just not all owned by us. If somebody wants to do that because they don't have any money and they have time.
Okay, I think we've done a thorough job of discussing this particular item. Any other comments or questions? If not, entertain a motion. Director Huffer.
I'll move approval of staff recommendation.
Thank you. Have a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Director Nichols. Motion is second. Any other thoughts or questions come to mind? If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, hearing none, that motion will pass. We're moving on to item 9F. Authorize the service and management of phone system, and we have Mark. Hey.
We want that level.
Oh, am I not? Is it on? Oh, there we go. Oh, gosh. You think I would know how to work this by now? So, anyway, Andrew had told me I need to step up my game. So having said that, I'm going to take you on a journey of telephony tonight. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell patented the telephone. I'm just kidding. But no, in all seriousness, about 12 years ago, we transitioned our phone system from a traditional old-fashioned analog PBX to a voice over IP system with integrated Telemanagement Services, also known as ITS. We've been with them ever since, and we've had a wonderful service and support from them over the years. The issue we have now is that the current phone system platform that we're on is nearing the end of its life. And so we took this as an opportunity to go and look and see what else is out there. You know, are we still happy with the services that we're getting? Do we need to look into some other things? So we did get some other quotes. We looked around at some other solutions out there. And as it turns out, ITS was actually the cheapest proposal. And combined with the proven track record of service and support that they've given to us, staff feels that we would like to continue our relationship with ITS. This new agreement is going to give us, it's a 5-year agreement. It will give us all new equipment, enhanced service, and it's going to reduce our costs. Projected savings projected savings are going to be $598 per month, or $35,928 over the course of 5 years. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Mark. We really appreciate you continually monitoring our systems and the technology and efficiency, et cetera, et cetera. So it's important that we do this. Board members, Director Huffer.
It's a pretty good deal. You can get a better system, brand new, and save $600 a month. That's nice.
It's
That's
pretty
nice.
amazing. It's just the costs of technology have come down, and it's also because it's a 5-year agreement. And so they were able to give us a little more flexibility with that. And also I actually forgot to mention that all the equipment they're providing is at no cost to us. So it's just a monthly ongoing fee. So it's
Okay.
actually a pretty good deal.
And I think I probably asked this question way back when we were first making the changeover from PBX to voice over IP.
Voice over.
How reliable is our internet service?
That's an excellent question. So knock on wood, it's been super reliable. And in fact, at our main office, what I've implemented is we actually have 2 internet connections. So we have our primary FiOS internet, which we use through Frontier, which has been, again, super reliable. But we also have a backup dedicated line that we use actually primarily for our financial system, and that's a VPN into Tyler Technologies to their data center. But that's also acts as a backup failover in case the Frontier would happen to go down, so that we'd always have hopefully some type of internet so long as we had power. So it's been super reliable though, and we haven't really had too many issues aside from when the construction crews cut the fiber lines at our community centers.
That would do it.
Which has happened a couple times over the years. So when it does go down spectacularly. But also I will mention though, the other thing that since we went off on that as a segue, what I've done also is we actually have a Starlink system now, which is the satellite internet. And we've actually deployed that now twice at sites where the internet's gone down for whatever reason to keep them up and running. We can keep the phones running, internet, pretty much everything with that. So we have even more redundancy now in our system.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, any other comments? Director Kessler?
So I'm assuming this takes all of our buildings. This is the phones and communication systems for all of our buildings.
That's correct, yes.
And so as Director Huffer mentioned, is it also the internet and Wi-Fi for all of the buildings?
No, so
No.
this is just the phone system. So it's just the telephone handsets that we use to take calls or make calls. The internet is a separate
thing.
agreement
That's
that
what
we have.
was-
Yes.
That's what I was
Mhm.
wondering.
Mhm.
And then do the phones look different?
Yes, they're actually going to be, I wish I would have taken a picture of it to have, they're actually going to be really nice. Yeah, they're very modern. They have full color displays. They have a lot of more functionality and things. I mean, as you think it's a phone, like how, what do you need it to do? But I think it'll offer staff a little more flexibility with the way you can program it and set it up so that if you have particular people you call all the time, like Rochelle, you can just click the button and ring James up real easily, that kind of a thing. So it will have more enhanced features. The platform we're on is very old. And so it's, technology, even the phone world does advance and move forward. And so I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of new features that we're going to discover that'll be useful for us.
Okay, well, I can tell you're very excited about it. I'm wanting to come and take a course on how to learn, use the phone. It'll be another thing for me to feel incompetent with, you know?
I hope, no, we'll be happy to show you though.
I'm just joking.
Director Nichols.
Just a quick question. You mentioned that it works great as long as you have power. Do you
Yes.
have backup power here?
So we do have generators available at the district as a whole, and those are kind of doled out as an as needed basis, to my knowledge. But Andrew maybe could speak more to that than I.
Yeah, so depending on the facility and if that facility would need to utilize like HVAC, right, like air conditioning and such, we have our 2 large generators that we can move around and pigtail together actually, so they work as one. But then also like if we were running bare bones and Mark just needed to be able to get phones running and stuff, we can use a portable generator to be able to fire up what we need to do and take care of that. So yeah, just depending on the need, right?
Yes, and are the panels here at the facility ready to receive that power?
So since this isn't our building, no, we don't have control of that for this specific building, but we do have a handful of our other facilities that we've upgraded the past couple of years.
So then how would you connect power here if you brought the generator here, if you don't have that capability?
Well, like I said, bare bones communication, you can, whatever he needs to plug into just a generator, just like if we were camping and you have a
Okay.
generator, you bare bones, worst case scenario, but then our other facilities are able to be able to use the larger generators, or even like Conejo Community, it was spring of 23 when we ran out of power, that type of stuff, we're able to come in and do like a temporary situation to be able to plug it in, so.
Okay.
But our bigger centers like I believe Borchard, Dos Vientos, and blanking on the third that we did this past go around.
Mhm.
And TO is one that we didn't touch because it's so complicated with how it was ran when it was built. But yeah, so we definitely have some flexibility for the redundancy.
Okay.
So
All right, didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but
And just to
it's all
piggyback.
Mark's fault. He brought it up.
Oh, no, and just to piggyback off what Andrew had said, that if we needed to, I could spool up any of our critical infrastructure at one of our remote locations as well. We have that capability as well. So we could do payroll, we can do critical business functions at pretty much anywhere.
Okay,
So we can relocate very quickly.
very good. All right, thank you.
Okay, well, this is the technical aspect of our phone system that's being upgraded, et cetera. How about the functionality? Like, I've been frustrated a number of times calling in for a specific employee and, you know, it's all automated. You don't talk to somebody and it takes a while and spell directory, et cetera. Is there? Yes,
Sorry to interrupt, really? Oh,
yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. So I'll talk with you offline about that because I'd like to learn more about the challenges that we're having, but the new system should be better at that, but we can always improve on that as well.
Yeah,
So if there's things that we can, maybe make the auto attendant more user-friendly or easier to navigate, those are things, because that's kind of we set it up, so we talk about it and think what we need, but we can modify that as needed.
Okay, just appreciate you paying attention to that
Mhm.
issue. Okay, yes.
I
Director
did bring
Huffer.
up one more question. When you put in this new system, you're still going to have live people answering phones at various places.
Yeah, the intent is to keep it exactly as it is today, and so that varies. I believe at most of the centers, staff answer, but like at Hillcrest, for example, we have the auto attendant that picks up first now, and then it goes. But nothing's going to right now. Nothing's going to change in the schema of from my perspective. We're just kind of swapping to the newer system. All the way it works now is going to work the same.
Okay,
Basically.
I was curious because
Mhm.
just as an example, my doctor's office has gone to a system where a live person never answers the phone. It
Yeah.
goes right to voicemail, and then they send you a text message saying, yes, we got your voicemail.
Yeah.
Someone will call you back someday.
Yeah, no. I don't think it's the intent of staff to do that at all. But again, that would be more for them to decide how they want to handle that and Jim as well. So.
Okay, any other comments, or questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Sure, I'll make the motion to
Yes.
do go ahead and authorize the general manager per staff's recommendation.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve authorizing our GM to take care of this phone system update. If any other questions or comments come to mind, I'd entertain those at this time. If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, sharing none, that motion will pass. And appreciate you hanging in there with our new items. We had a number this evening, but we're going to move on to item 10, reports and announcements, 10A through I. Anybody have any specific ones they want to address at this time? Yes, Director Huffer.
Just a quick comment, Melissa, you're still enjoying the almost 5% rate of return on our.
Very
I-
much.
Yeah, don't hold your breath, but it's nice while it lasts, so.
Thank you for noticing.
Any other comments or questions associated with those number of items? All right, we're moving on to item 11, department reports. Parks Division report, Mr. Mooney.
No report tonight, but I'm available for questions.
Yes, you've done a lot of reporting and good presentation. Again, thank you. Went smoothly. Okay, no questions for Mr. Mooney. We're moving on to item B, Recreation Division, Ms. Callis.
Thank you, Chair Lang, members of the board. In your binder on your desk, you got an additional report. I was full of reports this week. James has been very, very busy. So just this was our satisfaction survey for the spring session. So again, very good, excellent, some great comments. We are seeing a bigger turnout at our rec van. So that's happening and overall still great. Summer's going well, getting close to the end. Very proud of staff. We have had a couple of medical emergencies over the summer and staff, due to the training that people receive before they work for us, have handled things excellently. So just super proud of the way staff have handled some things. And then I will be out of the country for a couple of weeks. So Melissa and Tim will be your go-to people if you need anything. Not this Melissa. With that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Callis. Any questions from Ms. Callis? Oh, yes, Director Huffer.
I'm assuming, Rochelle, that we have procedures in place for our outdoor camps and other outdoor programs when we get our heat warnings and heat everything else, that we have ways of dealing with that.
Yes, we've had some decent water days with Wildwood Camp. If it gets to a certain heat level, they actually don't go into the canyon. They kind of stay at the park area. So those are some adjustments that are made, obviously encouraging kids to drink lots of water, stuff to that effect.
Okay, and just as a comment, I love driving around the community and like at Canal Creek North, seeing all these little kids running around and these the counselors and the kids look like they're having a great time, so.
Yeah, that camp, they actually get to go to the library and go inside. When they're at Teo or Newberry, they'll go inside. So the only camp that doesn't have the ability to go inside really is the Wildwood Camp when they're out there. So it's just a matter of, do they hike or do they not?
Okay. Oh, you mentioned the rec van and more popular, et cetera. I think that was a term you may have used, and busier. I've noticed it at all of our concerts. I'm assuming I've heard a couple announcements that the rec van is on the other side of the bridge, et cetera. Is that usage increasing?
At the actual concerts?
Correct.
Yeah, it's been a nice bonus to have the rec van there and kind of be back there, and kids I went there at the last concert and kids were making crafts and stuff to that effect.
Okay, so it is being utilized.
Yeah, and I think it went to, the Dos Vientos Center took it to a Westlake concert also.
That's the next question was going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. All right. Michelle, Management Services Division report.
No,
Melissa.
no report, but I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Any questions for our finance? Okay, Management Services. Item D, General Manager's report.
Yeah, I just want to, despite the length, I think Andrew, appreciate all that hard work that went into that report, and you know, that was a Herculean effort. So I appreciate all your effort, but it also gives me an opportunity to thank your colleagues next to you. The medical emergency issues and the training. I know Rochelle getting here to CRPD over the past 7 years has really emphasized that very specific training, AED training, first aid, all the CPR. Like, she's made more staff have that training than we used to, frankly. And so compliments to Rochelle for making sure that happened and acting as GM while I was out of the country a couple weeks ago. So thanks for doing a good job there. And then Melissa, all your work with money and budgets and MRCA and all the multiple meetings you've had to go. So thanks all you guys. I appreciate you. And last but not least, Aline, for holding down the fort all the time and getting these big giant packets and agendas and keeping us all on track. So thank you all for that. Really quick, we did have Andrew and I had a quick meeting with representatives from the Jantz Marketplace. They are looking at a residential component and kind of where they're styling it a specific plan process maybe. So we've begun a process kind of on a much bigger scale than, say, what 500 Teal Boulevard was in terms of the number of units and the number of acres associated with all that. So that conversation has kind of begun. It's in the very early stages, and the city's really the point person, but we are one of the, you know, agencies that Jantz has to talk to. The election period for everybody, but our board included, opened on Monday the 15th, and it goes through August 9th. And I actually did the research because I wasn't sure. So you know, the rule normally is if an incumbent doesn't file, then it extends automatically by a week. And I was thinking, because this is our first division election, what does that mean? Does that mean it automatically goes a week? But it's pretty clear on the website, no, you have to, you know, poll by August 9th. And I know that we have 2 people who've expressed interest in District 5 as of yesterday when I looked, and Division 1. So folks are expressing interest, one of whom's in the room with us right now. We are looking at doing a candidate orientation for all the qualified candidates. We're thinking the 3rd week in August. I think that's the week of the 20th to the 22nd. We're sort of thinking the 3rd Thursday, which I think is the 22nd, is a day we would invite all qualified candidates to come in, and we would do kind of what we did when Doug and Nellie were, you know, first looking at it and stuff. So we're thinking of doing that for everybody. Just as a quick reminder to this board and anyone who might be interested, Tex Ward's memorial services on August 1st at Conejo Creek North in the evening or late afternoon. And while, you know, that we have our break, so today's our last meeting until September, I'll be looking to have kind of one-on-ones with each one of you, like a little lunch or breakfast or something, just to get together and check in. So look for that when Aline calls with the calendar dates. Please try to find one that works. That's it. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Friedel. Any questions of the general manager and his report? Okay, we're going on to board director reports and follow-up reports and meetings and conferences attended. I'm going to start with Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of outings. We attended our concert in the park on Independence Day. And then on July 10th, I attended the California Association of Rec and Park Districts Board of Directors meeting via Zoom. And that was it for this period.
Okay, thank you. Director Cussworth.
So of course I was at the concert and I went to the pancake breakfast for the first time. And my grandkids had a great time making all those crafts. So that was, an added bit, and the food was very good. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I went to this chamber function on tourism in the area, which was really quite interesting. And I talked with Jonathan Surratt, who's now over kind of cultural. And I was saying, well, we don't really have tourism. How is this going to apply to us? And so he came up with a very good idea. And I don't know if we would want to have it be at our parks per se. It could work well for our museums, though, that, when you go into hotels and they have little brochures about things in the area, I thought, well, that might be something that we look into to put in some little brochures. I mean, it would work well for the two of the museums. It wouldn't work for McCray because he just doesn't have that many events. But I didn't know if we wanted to advertise our trails. We don't really like to advertise a lot of our trails. We certainly wouldn't advertise Wildwood, but it might just be something to think of for people that are coming here for a wedding or to visit family or whatever they're doing, because I know that, when we've gone on vacation, we sometimes go and look at those, like, what's going on in this little town. So, anyway, just something to think about. I mean, like maybe, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. So I think that's all I did. I was up looking at the parks in Lincoln, California here for the last week. So, I took some pictures. I may bug you with them.
Okay.
It's always nice to see what's going on in other cities. Not that I found anything that I can find that I think is superior to what we do in quality and quantity, but it's always nice to see what other people are doing.
Thank you, Director Kessler. Director Huffer.
Thank you. I know it's not a Park District function, but it was at Park District Parks, but I did get to a couple of the last pop-up concerts, which were really nice. And whenever my friends talk about the pop-up concerts, they thank me and I don't correct them, so that works out pretty well. Did have our once a month CSVP tax preparation over at Conejo Creek South. Took part in all of the various 4th of July festivities, the delicious pancakes over at Orchard. The concert at the park, which was moderately well attended. I guess it's typical 4th of July that people are off doing other things. But the young lady who sang the national anthem, she was spectacular, unbelievable.
12 years old.
And then the fireworks show that night was as good as any of the fireworks shows that I've been to, so that was great. I did have a chance to meet with a couple of the folks who have expressed interest in running for the board, so that's great. I don't know if I told Marissa, but if Ashley ends up deciding to run and is fortunate enough, then Marissa is going to be almost the second oldest lady on the board. So that would make me feel. And yes, I am submitting my paperwork. In fact, I'm turning it in tomorrow morning. So, and you talked about the incumbent or not. One of the questions, when you fill out all the paperwork, they say, what title do you want to use? Well, always in past 3 times, I said, I'm an incumbent. Well, I can't put that on the candidate statement because there is no incumbent in Division 1.
Okay.
But they said I can put Director of Conejo Recreation and Park District. Go figure. So anyway.
I know Doug said incumbent on his.
Well, that's prior to the,
I know, but when I said that, when we were running the same time, they said you can put Director of Conejo Recreation and Park District.
sure. And you
But
can
they
also,
said I couldn't put incumbent. I said, I want to put incumbent Director Recreation and Park District, and they said, well, you can't put incumbent.
Not
Director
both.
Recreation and Park District."
You can't just put incumbents,
just
or you
put
could.
incumbent.
Now you can't.
but you could have just put incumbent.
I guess I could.
Yes.
Anyway,
You
that's
could've.
my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I've got a few items. I also attended the pancake breakfast, at an MRCA meeting, a Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy meeting. Attended a concert in the park, and as a reminder, we have another concert this coming Sunday. And then from the concert, went directly to the fireworks. And that pretty much covers the activities I participated in. But I have another little addendum to my report. As been discussed, Director Huffer's going to submit his papers tomorrow as a candidate. And as you all pretty much know, I'm up for reelection this fall. But just based on many things that I've been dealing with and looking at my schedule and commitment and so forth, and other things in my life, I, back in February, met with the general manager and then Elaine, talking about my situation and my thinking and so forth, which at the time and still is, I'm not going to be running for reelection this fall for CRPD. But as you know, I'm also on the MRCA board, chair of that, and then Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Advisory Committee, and so forth. And in my mind at the time, talking to the general manager, was that I thought, well, I would automatically not be eligible to serve on the MRCA or the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. But Mr. Friedel straightened me out on that. And he'll be coming back to the board that I can be appointed as your representative, even though I'm not a board member. And some of you may not remember that Mike Berger was an appointee of the Conservancy on behalf of the CRPD board. And he was, at the time, I might be getting this mixed up, but anyway, long story short, after meeting with the general manager and meeting with Mr. Joe Edmondson and Rory Skay, I've decided that I will go ahead and, if approved by the board, represent you on the MRCA and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. And one of the things that kind of really instilled that, because I hadn't even thought of it until Jim brought it up, but is the fact that, where was I going with this? Well, oh, I know. Being that I have a lot of longevity with the MRCA and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, Mr. Edmondson said how important it is for continuity, and these other government agencies, departments, really respect continuity. They don't like a lot of changes taking place. So he was glad to know that I was considering staying on the MRCA board and the Conservancy. So again, with your eventual possible approval, that's something that I'd like to do. And I will be happy to submit an MRCA Conservancy report once a month, keep you up to date as what's happening. And that's kind of it. So I'll be able to spend more time with my family, Judy specifically. And so that's it.
Can I just say something
Yes.
quickly? I can't think of anybody that any of us would rather have as our representative at MRCA than you. And I think all of us have benefited greatly from your experience, and we're glad to still have you be a part of us. Thank you.
I just had a question with reference to Joe Edmiston. Does he measure continuity in years or decades? Because you have been there for 2 decades
3, this is my 32nd year.
with MRCA?
Yep. Yeah,
Three
Tex
decades.
appointed me immediately to both the MRCA and the Conservancy.
Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate the continuity, consideration, and I know that's a real desire of yours to continue to serve, so it's sad to hear you're not going to be part of us, but glad to hear you'll still be part of us. So thank you.
I'll still be around and look forward to the board continuing its amazing work in our community and how much our community benefits from each individual on the board and efforts. And it's not just a couple meetings a month. There's many various activities and lots of hours. This agenda I started on Friday. I met with the general manager Friday morning because we already had the agenda and started to make notes, etc. So again, it takes work, and each of your efforts are appreciated. Huffer.
I'm not going to refer to you as Chair Lang or Director Lang. George, what you've done for the district all these years, and I mean, we're going to have a whole lot more to say come December, but thank you for all those years. Thank you for your perspective on you know, the history of the district, because you're the only one around who has been here, maybe not from the very beginning, but go back far enough that seen a lot of changes in the years you've been on the board. And I certainly would be the first to support your nomination to serve MRCA. Quite honestly, I can't imagine anybody else being crazy enough to want to go to all those long meetings. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, 32. It all happened. Oh, yeah. And Tex, you know, the process was a little different, and that Tex welcomed me with stacks, not computers available in those days with all the documents and history, et cetera, like we have today. But he sent me home after I was selected, sent me home with a couple piles of books, stacks that high. Had to take 2 trips from the office to my car. But anyway, yeah, he told me from the very beginning that he would like for me to be on the, and I didn't even know what MRCA and Conservancy were in details. I knew in general. And so it was definitely a learning process and something that's in my blood now. And I'm just glad to have had the opportunity and to have had other opportunities throughout the years that precipitated out of my participation in being a board member of CRPD. As some of you know, I also served on the state LAFCO commission and for 6 years. No, I wasn't on the state that long. But anyway, those types of experiences were really meaningful, and Doug serves on a state level board. And in those days, I was elected by the whole state. It wasn't certain districts or anything. So anyway, it was a real great experience, and I couldn't have had any other organizations that precipitated into the experiences I've had, and I'm just very pleased and thankful to be part of the CRPD family, and I always will be. And have any questions on history, just give me a call. Okay, enough, George. We've got any items from the public online? Nope. Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot requests for status reports and items for subsequent agendas. Anybody have anything there you want to bring up in the future? Okay, then nobody on the public. We've already had our executive closed session. So item 15 is adjourned. And as you know, we've had a number of individuals who've been associated with CRPD and served CRPD that have passed. And we're going to adjourn in the honor and memory of Tex Ward and Barbara Kloster. And Tex, they had a couple obituaries in the local newspaper. I think through the recent comments and so forth, you've all known the important role that Tex has played in history of the CRPD and what his accomplishments have precipitated in. As you know, we're one of the top park districts, not only in California, but in the nation. We were a top 4 a few years ago. So Tex set a lot of things in motion. He devoted a lot of time and effort, a lot of good ideas. The MRCA was one of Tex's ideas. And so Tex Ward will be remembered officially in a memorial service on August 1st, Thursday, August 1st, prior to our board meeting, right, Mr. Friedel?
We won't, August is dark. We don't. have a
Oh,
board
August
meeting
is, yeah, that's the first. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so let me read a few words about Barbara Kloster, because not all of you had the experience of knowing Barbara or seeing what she accomplished for our community. Barbara Kloster recently passed away. She was a gift to the community and will be dearly missed. She started riding horses in Chicago at the age of 11 years old. She and her husband, Ed, and their 3 children moved to Los Angeles in 1964, where she was active in the PTA, Little League, and rode horses at Griffith Park. In 1963, they moved to Thousand Oaks, where she immediately became part of the ETI Corral 37 and served as its president for many years. She also became an advocate for the dog park, and that was kind of unusual because horses and dogs don't always get along together. And there were a number of equestrians who didn't want dog parks or dogs around their horses. But she was able to understand the benefits of both of them, and they're interacting in eventual respect for each other. So that was kind of unusual that she was an advocate for the dog park. And from 1998 to 1999, served on the Master Plan Committee for Conejo Creek North, the Director Huffer can attest to. In 2004, she created the Day of the Horse, and that was a great event. And it still goes on today, I think. I don't know. But anyway, she created that Day of the Horse event to educate, entertain, and inform the Conejo Valley residents about horses, about equestrians, and so forth. She was included in CRPD's Gratitude Circle in 2015, and I think that was our second one. So we appreciated, respected Barbara, all that she contributed to not only our community, but to CRPD. So in the name of Barbara Kloster and Tex Ward, I will adjourn this meeting.